Welcome to Chinese Novel Audiobook. Chapter 41. Dugu Mansion, Dugu Bo. For this reason, Shui Qinghe is not angry, because she knows the rules of the 8 major families. Let alone getting close to His Highness the Crown Prince, even if you make friends, you also gain people. It's so strict and not affected by any external factors. As long as there are no friends or promises in the outside world, a lot of troubles can be reduced. For example, a close friend is ready to take revenge, and his enemy is particularly powerful. Should we help or not? What should you do if your family is involved? A lot of troubles arise. This is why the 8 major families have such a code of conduct. If you don't pay attention, you will end up in a disaster. Bond. The 8 major families are connected by the same spirit, and there are many bonds. There is no need to form bonds with outsiders at all. Shui Qinghe looked at Navalette again, how similar his experience was to hers. There are no playmates at all, and even making friends is restricted. However, Vilette's life is much better than hers. At least, he doesn't have to pretend to be someone else. Just sighing slightly, Shui Qinghe has no other meaning. In her eyes, only talent and strength are the foundation. Appearance, temperament, etc. are just some embellishments. Just as a man feels happy when he sees a beautiful woman, a woman feels the same when she sees a handsome man, and that's it. It's not that I like it, it's just pure nature. Your Highness, if there is nothing else to do, I will take my leave. Navalette said calmly. After hearing this, the corners of Shui Qinghe's mouth raised slightly. She found the person in front of her more and more interesting. There is nothing else to do. Navalette, if you have time, you can come to the prince's mansion to sit down. Shui Qinghe said politely. Without her token, can you enter the prince's mansion as promised? She had no intention of giving Vilette the token, so she was just being polite. If you have the chance, you should go there, and I hope that His Highness the Crown Prince will not bother you. The green hills remain unchanged, the green waters always flow, the mountains are high and the roads are far away, so say goodbye and say goodbye. Without waiting for Shui Qinghe to reply, Vilette turned and left. If the person in front of you is really Shui Qinghe, it would be okay to say a few more words, but unfortunately, he is not. Qian Renxue is too ambitious, and if she communicates too much, if the other party becomes interested in soliciting others, there will be a big problem. You know, this woman wants to attract someone's eyes, but she can't hide it. Even if it is the son of the enemy who killed her father, as long as she likes it, she can recruit him even if he sacrifices his loyal ministers. One can imagine how terrifying she is. Seeing Vilette running away like this, Shui Qinghe froze on the spot for a while, and the smile on his lips froze. The name Shui Qinghe should have an excellent reputation under her management. Judging from the lack of much communication with the other party, the 8 major families have really implemented their ideas to the end. Yes, these guys won't be a roadblock. As long as you change your thoughts, concepts, and identities, Vilette's approach is simply in line with Qian Renxue's ideas. Qian Renxue shook her head and didn't think much about it. How could she have so much time to pay attention to a little man? Time passed, and in a blink of an eye, it was time to make an appointment with Dugu Bo. On this day, Lexius took Navalette and walked directly towards Dugu Bo's mansion. Although Dugu Bo didn't want to accept the title of Marquis from the Tiando Empire, Prince Shuexing had saved his life, so he had no choice but to accept the so-called title of Marquis. In Tiando City, Dugu Bo has a Marquis residence, Dugu Mansion, which was rewarded by Emperor Shui. Filled circle. Today's Dugu Mansion is different from usual. The door is open, as if welcoming some guests. Due to his solitary nature, there are no servants in Dugu Mansion. It is obviously impossible for him to greet the guests in person. Even his savior, Prince Shuexing, cannot be welcomed in person. This is also the reason why the door of Dugu Mansion is open. After Lexius and Navalette arrived at the gate of Dugu Mansion, seeing this, the grandfather and grandson looked at each other and smiled at each other. This Dugu Bo is really interesting. He nodded without saying anything, and the grandfather and grandson walked in one after the other. Not long after, we arrived at the reception hall, where Dugu Bo had been waiting for a long time. Dugu Bo has a thin face, and his hair and pupils are dark green, especially the pupils, which are very similar to the eyes of a poisonous snake when catching its prey. His eyes only glanced at Lexius, and then focused on Navalette. Dugu Bo really wanted to know who he was and why he deserved to be given a 10,000-year-old soul bone as a meeting gift. Even if this soul bone is only a little over 10,000 years old, its value is quite high. You don't know this when you look at it, you'll be shocked when you look at it. For some reason, when Dugu Bo looked at Navalette, his heart palpitated and he felt like he was surrendering. As a titled Douluo, he quickly found out the reason. It was his martial spirit that was causing trouble. You must know that since his martial spirit evolved into the Jade Phosphorus Snake King, his martial spirit has been one of the top martial spirits. This situation is almost impossible to happen, but it has happened now. Dugu Bo couldn't help but look at Villette a few more times, becoming even more confused. Sit. Dugu Bo made an inviting gesture with his right hand, indicating that the two of them should sit down. As a host, how can you let your guests stand and talk? After Lexius and Navalette sat down, the former said, Your Majesty Dugu, this is my grandson Navalette. It is precisely because of my grandson's affairs that I came here this time. Oh, I don't know what's going on. At this time, Dugu Bo is quite interested in Villette, who can make his martial spirit surrender instantly. If he becomes an enemy, he may not be able to exert 80% of his strength. This is so weird. If you cannot be friends, then you can only. Grandson, tell me. Lexius didn't know why Villette wanted to find Dugu Bo, so naturally he could only let Navalette tell him. Okay, Grandpa. After hearing this, Navalette first responded to the old man, and then said calmly, Your Majesty Dugu, when I come here this time, I just want to make a deal with you. Don't refuse it yet, this deal can help Your Majesty and future generations solve their martial arts problems. As soon as these words came out, even Lexius went numb. Grandson, do you want to listen to what you are saying? If he had known that Villette would say this in the first place, he would never have helped. As for the problem with the martial spirit, Dugu Bo can cultivate to the title Douluo, what problems can there be with the martial spirit? The air is a bit colder at this time. Chapter 42, Dugu Bo is defeated. At this time, the air in the room was a bit colder. It was obvious that Dugu Bo was not in a calm mood. He knows his own family's affairs. There is indeed something wrong with his family's martial spirit. It will be passed down and poison the next generation. His son and daughter-in-law left precisely because of this. It is not only a genetic problem, but also as you continue to practice, you will become a poisonous person. Under Dugu Mian, this. Before Lexius could finish speaking, Dugu Bo waved his hand and said expressionlessly, Kid, continue, if you can't give me a satisfactory answer, haha. Dugu Bo sneered. A titled Douluo is always a titled Douluo. If he hadn't been a little afraid of Villette's invisible pressure, he would have gone crazy at this time. This is a secret involving his Dugu family. Even though he and Dugu Yan are the only ones left in the Dugu family now. Seeing this, Lexius sighed, then his eyes narrowed, and he had already made up his mind to run away with Villette. Whenever Dugu Bo does something strange, he will immediately run away with Villette. Your Majesty, Dugu Mian, I, Villette, have always been fair and just in doing things. If this were not the case, I would not need to exchange with you for what I need, I would take it for myself. After saying these words, an invisible momentum burst out from Navalette, crushing towards Dugu Bo. Suddenly, Dugu Bo's eyes widened with horror. His martial soul is fearful and trembling. Even to the point of not wanting to show up. Just like an ordinary snake, when it sees its emperor, it feels fear and awe, but dare not look directly at it. If he could still exert about 70% of his combat effectiveness before, now, if Dugu Bo can exert 50% of his original combat effectiveness, it means that Dugu Bo is determined. After hearing what Villette said, Dugu Bo looked very ugly. After becoming a titled Douluo, this was the second time he had been threatened. The people of Lexius are all numb, and this grandson is going further and further on the road to death. However, things seem to be a bit beyond his expectation. His Majesty Dugu had no intention of taking action, so why did he look so bad? As if it could explode at any time. This momentum only lasted for a moment, and Villette took it back. Your Majesty Dugu, if there is any matter, we can sit down and talk about it. There is no need to threaten or intimidate at all times. This is wrong. Navalette sat back in his seat and said with an unchanged expression. Dugu Bo's eyes twitched. This guy is the first to complain. When Navalette told his secret, he was actually ready to take action. Can anyone know the secrets between soul masters? Had he not been afraid of Lexius and Navalette, he would not have given Navalette a chance to explain. But this guy didn't explain at all, and was even more powerful than his title Douluo. A direct threat. Having reached this point, Dugubo thought for a while and decided to show off his cards. Boy, if you can really solve this problem, just tell me what you want, and I can give it to you as long as I have it. The poison of the martial spirit has always been a pain in Dugubo's heart. Even if his cultivation level reaches the sky, it doesn't matter, he can't save his son and daughter-in-law. This poison is also hereditary. It will harm future generations. Dugu Yan's hair and pupils are the best proof. Since Navalette said that this is a deal, he should have some solution. Just happened to take a fancy to something in his hand. Dugu Myangxia, the problem of your lineage appears on the martial soul. It is the poison of the martial soul. It will continue to grow with practice. Whenever it rains. After describing Dugu Bo's situation and symptoms, Navalette picked up the tea on the side and took a sip. Not poisonous. After hearing this, Dugu Bo's eyes lit up. What Villette said was exactly the same as his situation. Now he was no longer asking how he knew, but how to solve this situation. You are the first person who dares to drink the tea I brewed. Just because of this, I am willing to believe you once. Tell me, what do you want? Dugu Bo stroked his beard and stared at Na Wei. Right. This person who looks no older than his granddaughter is actually so terrifying. Tien Ke Ta Dugu Bo. What a sin. Your Majesty Dugu Mian, the content of the deal is that I will help you and your descendants eliminate the poison of the martial soul, and you will give me the treasure land in the Sunset Forest. The value of that treasure land is priceless. Do you think the lives of my husband and my granddaughter are valuable? Dugubo said quietly before Navalette finished speaking. Forehead. Villette was silent. The treasure land is priceless, and life is also priceless. As long as you can solve this problem, what's the point of giving the land to you? Dugubo didn't ask why Villette knew there. Everyone knew about him and his granddaughter being poisoned. Isn't it normal to know there? Besides, if it weren't for that piece of land, this guy wouldn't necessarily have anything to do with him, right? Of course, if you dare to trick me. Villette didn't take Dugubo's words to heart at all. But I was thinking about another question. This deal is actually not fair. There seems to be no one on the Douluo Continent that can compare to the Ice and Fire Eyes treasure land. Even 100,000-year soul bone cannot be compared with this treasure land. Just rescuing Dugu Bo and Dugu Yan, and resolving the matter of martial soul inheritance cannot be fair and just at all. Although both are priceless, this transaction is still not fair and just. Forget it, let's find a way to make up for this in the future. At the worst, we can pay more attention to Dugu Bo's descendants in the future, or try to help him improve his strength. Thinking of this, Villette no longer hesitates, just do something special. Your Majesty, Dugu Mian, can you take me and my grandfather to your treasured land first? I have several methods here that can solve your and your granddaughter's problems, but they all require the use of this treasure land. Navalette said bluntly. The best solution is to let Dugu Bo and Dugu Yan's martial soul evolve and break away from the snake martial soul body. They are humans, not snakes, and do not have poison sacs to store toxins. After the martial soul evolves, this problem will naturally be solved. Also, the solution is the same as in the original work, but it only treats the symptoms rather than the root cause. The most best way is to directly cut off the inheritance of Dugu's lineage. After his Villette becomes a ***** and has god-level power, he will replace the martial spirit of Dugu's lineage with a god-given martial spirit. Thinking of this, Navalette's eyes lit up. This method seemed feasible, and this transaction was considered fair and just. Chapter 43. My short-lived wife is about to be resurrected. A piece of grass, a hammer, and a soft bone rabbit. Their child's spirit is the bright dragon god butterfly. This illustrates a problem. Martial spirits can be given by gods. But, will Dugubo accept such a proposal? Good guy, I asked you to save me, but I didn't ask you to interrupt my inheritance. The martial soul has been directly replaced. Does his Dugu family's jade phosphorus snake need anyone to inherit it? Fortunately, Dugu Bo didn't know what Villette was thinking at this time. If he knew, he would probably be very hesitant and confused. The God-given martial spirit, no matter how bad it is, won't be much worse. It is still much more powerful than his family's jade phosphorus snake martial spirit. However, this is his family's inherited martial spirit. He, Dugu Bo, even cultivated this martial soul to the realm of titled Douluo. How can it be said that it is cut off and then it is cut off? Faced with life and inheritance, Dugu Bo would most likely choose the former. If he were alone, he would most likely choose the latter. Dugu Bo is not a procrastinator when doing things. After hearing what Villette said, he didn't hesitate at all and immediately stood up and said, "Go over now." After saying this, he did not look at Villette and Lexius, and walked out of the hall on his own. You kid, you really scared me to death. Do you know how dangerous it was just now? Know that this will be the case, I won't bring you here at all. Lexius whispered in Navalette's ear, and his whole body was numb. Don't worry, Grandpa, I know what's going on. You have a ghost. Lexius curled his lips and said dissatisfied. No matter how bad Dugu Bo is, he is also a titled Douluo, and he is not someone who can be offended by a contra. But his grandson keeps trying to die in front of Dugu Bo. What surprised him was that Villette really knew about the problem with Dugu Bo's martial spirit. This is something Lexius can't figure out no matter how he thinks about it. How long has this kid been away from home? He has never even left Soto City and has never met Dugu Bo, so he can know the other party's treasures and problems. After the grandfather and grandson chatted for a while, they got up and chased after Dugu Bo in the direction he left. Tiando City is not far from the Sunset Forest. In just over a quarter of an hour, the three of them arrived at the edge of the Sunset Forest. This was the first time that Villette walked into the Spirit Beast Forest. He had never hunted a spirit beast before. At the outskirts of Sunset Forest, most of them were 10-year-old soul beasts, and these soul beasts did not dare to approach the three of them at all. After walking for another half-quarter of an hour, the three of them arrived at the foot of a mountain range. Here, they were covered by a poison array. If the Soul Saint powerhouse was not careful, he would be at risk of being poisoned. This was arranged by Dugu Bo in order to prevent spirit beasts from going up the mountain and destroying the ecology of this precious land. Even at the foot of the mountain, Villette could feel a strong aura of ice and fire. It seemed that Dugu Bo was not playing tricks, he was a real person with the two skills of ice and fire. This is the detoxifying pill. The poison here was planted by me. Without it, even if Contra comes. Dugu Bo took out two pill-like pills from somewhere, handed them to Navalette and Lexius, and said. The two looked at each other. Lexius was a little hesitant. Don't eat Dugu Bo's food randomly. Then Villette doesn't have so many ideas, so what if it's poison? Swallowed it directly without hesitation. Grandpa, you have to believe that Dugu Myanxia, although his reputation is not very good, he has been upright in his life and would never do anything like poisoning. After hearing this, Dugu Bo didn't know whether to cry or laugh. Is this kid praising him or hurting him? Just say nothing, put your hands behind your back, look up at the sky at 45 degrees, and pretend to be an expert. There is no fluctuation in his heart. Jiu Dan is a real Jiu Dan without any manipulation. Lexius sighed. His grandson is still too young, he must not have the intention to harm others, and he must have the intention to guard against others. It's normal that he doesn't understand this truth now. After thinking for a moment, Lexius gritted his teeth and finally took the antidote. Seeing this, Dugu Bo said nothing and just walked towards the top of the mountain. Soon, the three of them arrived at the top of the mountain. The scenery here suddenly changed. The top of the mountain looked as if it had been hit by a meteorite from outside, and a huge crater appeared. It forms a terrain surrounded by mountains on all sides but with a basin in the center. Looking down, the water blue and fiery red springs came into view. Even Lexius, who is well informed, couldn't help but sigh, this is really a treasure land. Although he doesn't understand the value of this place, the soul power and energy here are much, much stronger than the outside world. Wow, Villette, is this the place you said is full of energy? Fukalos stopped pretending to be dead and exclaimed, "Isn't the energy here too strong? It is more than enough to restore her to her human form, and she can also regain most of her strength." She hasn't spoken to Villette for many days, because she was afraid that Villette would be thinking about the little pure water elf, the little water dragon, etc. when he heard her voice. These days, she chooses to pretend to be dead. "Yes, how about it, Fukalos, can you absorb the energy here?" Navalette said with some excitement. "Yes, it's okay. As the god of water and demon, of course she can absorb this energy, but that guy Villette is here again. Is the desire for revenge so strong? That's good, it won't be in vain for me." Navalette nodded, feeling very happy that his short-lived wife was about to be resurrected. "I'm a little excited and a little excited at the same time. This guy. Wait a moment, I'll help Douluo Bo solve the problem with his martial spirit first." After saying this, Navalette also came back to his senses and looked at Douluo Bo and Lexius. "This is my treasured land. Let's go down." Douluo Bo jumped directly. As a titled Douluo, he could stay in the air for a short time, that is, levitate instead of flying. Most of the current titled Douluo can only levitate and cannot fly without the flying soul skill. Unless your strength reaches level 95, you can fly briefly in the air. There are 3 reasons. First, the current titled Douluo does not have a soul core. Their soul power is powerful, but they cannot be squandered at will. Secondly, the current suppression of soul masters in Douluo Continent is much heavier than it would be 10,000 years later. Thirdly, the current titled Douluo does not use flying soul guides. Second point, the current Douluo Continent can withstand a battle between 3 first-level gods and even the emergence of a ****** king. However, in the Douluo Continent 10,000 years later, not to mention the God King, even the first-level gods cannot wait too long. 20,000 years later, Douluo Continent will be even more unbearable. Chapter 44. Don't worry, even though I know nothing about pharmacology. Lexius is a flying and agile attack soul Douluo. He already has the ability to fly. If he wants to escape, most titled Douluo will be unable to do anything to him. Really prepared to release the martial arts, Liqiu, who took Namelet, was slightly froze, and saw that Nilet walked in the air, and fly. Quote. "No, you should release your martial spirit and disguise yourself." Lexius twitched his eyes, raised his forehead slightly, and whispered helplessly. Without releasing his martial spirit, he simply walked through the air. Can a titled Douluo do this? This is a problem. Shaking his head, Lexius released his martial spirit and flew downwards. This height is not very high, but it is about 1,000 meters. If an ordinary person or a low-level soul master falls, death is almost certain. But for the 3 of them, this is not a problem at all. Douluo Bo was the first to land. He subconsciously looked at Navalette. He didn't know what he was seeing. He was shocked when he saw it. Good guy, he didn't release his martial soul, but his soul power fluctuated, not much, but he was able to walk in the air. He and Douluo Bo are just gliding, but this guy is really flying. Swallowing, Douluo Bo felt that he was right in not getting angry before. Once you get angry, you don't know who will educate whom. The treasure land is here. As long as I can solve the problem between me and Yanzi, this place belongs to you. Douluo Bo said with a serious face. His tone was very firm, and he did not give up at all. He cares more about his granddaughter than external things. Don't worry, even though I know nothing about pharmacology. Douluo Bo. His mind is full of questions. What the hell? What does it mean to know nothing about pharmacology? But don't worry, Douluo Mian, I know exactly how to solve your and your granddaughter's problems. After hearing this, Douluo Bo glanced at Villette with some doubts. He almost wanted to curse just now. Fortunately, Navalette spoke quickly, otherwise, his anger would have already risen. Ignoring the confused Douluo Bo, Villette looked at the ice and fire eyes. He really doesn't know most of these grass jelly, but he only remembers some of the more distinctive ones. The 2 fairy grasses in the ice spring and the fire spring are really distinguishable. They are the 8 anise ice grass and the fierce apricot jiaoshu. It is really easy to tell the difference between the wonderful velvet blossoms and the fairy grasses like this. He can distinguish the most important fairy grasses, but as for some poisonous weeds, he is at a loss. He has no memory of the time when he was a Navalite. Besides, there is a huge gap between the flowers and plants on the Dulouo Continent and the fairy grass plants here. This is. At this point, Lexius exclaimed, what did he see? A garden of magical herbs. Others may not know it, but the 8 major families with a long history have recorded some legendary things. Ju Douluo Yu Guan all knows the fairy grass, which shows that there is a record of fairy grass in this world. It's just that it is not accepted or understood by most soul masters. The strange velvet blooming chrysanthemum. 8-petal fairy orchid. Here, there is a Yushang Qiluo immortal plant here. After hearing this, Villette was stunned and looked at Lexius with some surprise. The old man actually knows these fairy grasses. Oh my god, the legendary star anise ice grass and fire apricot jiaoshu actually grew like this. Coming to the edge of the ice and fire spring, Lexius stared at the 2 fairy grasses in the ice and fire spring, his eyes shining. Well, Navalette was finally able to confirm that the old man really knew these things, and he also knew their value, which may not be much, but it should be enough. If he didn't know their value, the old man wouldn't have such an expression of seeing a ghost. The last time I saw this kind of expression was the day when his martial spirit awakened. Grandpa, please help me find the Earth Dragon Golden Melon. Dugu Myanxia and his granddaughter need them to solve the problem of martial spirits. Navalette said bluntly. After hearing this, Dugu Bo and Lexius were both stunned. The former was stunned because the thing that could solve their martial soul problem was here. The latter is different when he is in a daze. Earth Dragon Golden Melon. Lexius murmured something, as if he thought of something, and suddenly realized, that's it. If there really is an Earth Dragon Golden Melon here, it can really solve the problem of Dugu Mian's martial spirit. Evolve the martial spirit from the root, and you will naturally not be poisoned. Earth Dragon Golden Melon is a treasure for all dragon spirit masters, and for snake spirit masters, it is even more. Ahem, Grandpa, why don't you first check to see if there are any Earth Dragons and Golden Melons? Navalette coughed twice and interrupted Lexius. He couldn't wait for a quarter of an hour. Hey, forget it if you don't like it, it's still useful to learn more. Lexius shook his head and sighed. Dugu Bo. He doesn't like to hear it, but I do. You should keep talking. Although Dugu Bo has a higher soul power level than Lexius, in terms of family inheritance, Dugu Bo is far from being as good as Lexius. Most of these things are family secrets that are not passed down. Dugu Bo was helpless. Lexius's performance made him understand one thing, that is, everything here is not simple. What a pity, he is uneducated. He has no inheritance. He doesn't know the value of these things. Dugu Bo wanted to cry, but he had no choice. What he said was like water thrown out, and there was no possibility of going back. I'm lucky to have gained it, but I've lost my life. Being able to save the wild goose, everything here has been put to its best use. Thinking about it this way, although Dugu Bo was still heartbroken, he was no longer so miserable. After a while, there was movement on Lexius' side. Here. Before Villette could react, Dugu Bo appeared beside Lexius's voice like an arrow from the bowstring. What comes into view are several golden sweet potato vines. Dailong Jingua is also a sweet potato and naturally grows in the soil. The presence of sweet potato vines indicates that the Earth Dragon and Golden Melons are in the soil below. This is the sweet potato vine of Earth Dragon Golden Melon. I don't know how many Earth Dragon Golden Melons there are. Lexius spread his hands and said to Dugu Bo. What are you waiting for? Dugu Bo was so panicked that he started digging directly. He didn't use any tools and started digging directly. If you use tools, what should you do if you accidentally injure this life-saving treasure? Navalette and Lexius looked at each other, but they did not disturb Dugu Bo who was digging the soil. 45. Don't you think about yourself? After seeing the fairy grass in Bingwo Liangyi's eyes, Lexius finally understood what Violet said Dugu Bo had in his hand that could break through the title Douluo. If used properly, the fairy grass here can do more than just create a few titled Douluo. Grandson, I have already calculated the most valuable thing here when I was looking for the Earth Dragon Golden Melon. You come with me. After hearing this, Villette subconsciously followed Lexius to the edge of the ice and fire spring. This is the star anise ice grass and the fiery apricot tree. After swallowing them at the same time, you will be immune to ice and fire attributes. Can better build your invincibility. And these. Navalette followed Lexius up and down, and it was Lexius who always spoke, and he just listened. After Lexius finished introducing the heartbroken Red, Navalette said, Grandpa, you have always been thinking about how I am becoming stronger and invincible. Don't you think about yourself? Lexius was stunned after hearing this. His mouth opened slightly, but he stopped talking. How could he not have thought about himself? However, these things are the most cost-effective when used on Navalette. As for his old bones, using such magical objects is nothing more than a waste. I'm old enough to use such a magical thing. Before Lexius could finish speaking, Billet waved his hand and said, Grandpa, with my qualifications, even without these things, it will be a matter of time before I become invincible. I don't really need these things. Billet exuded a strong sense of confidence. Lexius believed this. He just wanted to make Lexius more invincible. Besides, although you know the functions of these fairy grasses, you don't know that one person can only refine a few fairy grasses in his lifetime. A test medicine is only 3 parts poisonous. If it is refined too much, it will not be good. These words are directed at people. That Billet is a dragon. His words were considered to have deceived Lexius. After Lexius has finished selecting, he will select some jelly grass to swallow. Then, everything here will be turned into nourishment for Fukalos, resurrection. Hearing this, Lexius was thoughtful. After a long while, he sighed. Maybe Billet was right. I don't know which kind of grass jelly is suitable for you, you'd better choose it yourself. Navalette smiled and said. Having said this, Lexius no longer hesitated. In just a moment, he had already made a decision in his mind. The strange velvet babble chrysanthemum and the coxcomb phoenix sunflower. Daimubai and others swallowed the fairy grass. Because the medicinal properties could not be refined at one time, they needed to grow to the soul saint level before they could be completely refined. At that time, their soul power levels were generally in the 20s and 30s, and Daimubai reached level 39. Naturally, with this level of soul power, they could not refine the fairy grass at once. But Lexius is different, he is an 89 level Contra. Refining the fairy grass is not as simple as eating and drinking water, but the difference is not very big. Lexius just made a decision in his heart and did not directly pick the 2 fairy grasses because the matter of Douluo Bo has not been resolved yet, and this treasure land does not yet belong to Navalite. What I just said was just to arrange the belongings in advance and not to take action directly. Both their grandfather and grandson are very principled people. Ha ha ha, there are 3 earth dragon golden melons. At this moment, Douluo Bo burst out laughing, smiling, and he almost cried. If only they had known earlier that the solution to their martial soul problem would be here. His son will not die either. Fortunately, it's not too late. Hearing Douluo Bo's voice, Lexius and Navalette walked to his side calmly. After looking at it for a while, Navalette said, these 3 earth dragon golden melons are already mature. Douluo Mian's poison is too deep, and the poison of Wuhun is much stronger than Douluo Girl. Take 2 earth dragon golden melons. It should be able to evolve the martial soul. As for Miss Douluo, she is still young, and her martial spirit's poison and strength are not as good as Douluo Mianxia's. An earth dragon golden melon is enough to change the form of her martial spirit. 3 earth dragon golden melons, no more, no less, just right. This is God's will. Douluo Bo. Fuck God's will. If God's will is so, why didn't he know earlier that this thing could save lives? It has been decades since he discovered this place, and he doesn't even know about it. How should this be used? Eat it as fruit and then refine it. Quote. There are really no requirements for eating earthworm and pumpkin. You can just eat it directly, which is the so-called eating it as fruit. It is quite strange to say that when faced with the earth dragon golden melon, all dragon soul masters will have a desire to devour it, including dragon soul beasts. However, he is also a dragon, and Billet has no feeling at all. He has no interest in the earth dragon Jingua. Earth dragon pumpkin can purify the dragon bloodline and has a high probability of evolving a dragon-type martial spirit. However, in Navalette's view, this thing will pollute his bloodline. That's right, that's it. Is the earth dragon considered a dragon? The real dragons in Douluo Continent may be nothing more than this. Facing the graveyards of the two dragon kings of Douluo, Navalette did not feel depressed at all. Dugubo thought for a moment and then looked at Navalette. He suddenly felt that this young man was very pleasing to his eyes. HMPH, I can't say thank you. This is a deal. I'm going to try this so-called Earth Dragon Golden Melon and see if it can solve my martial soul problem. If you dare to deceive me, I will definitely destroy this place before I die. Dugubo said expressionlessly, with a hint of arrogance flashing across his face. Judging from the throbbing of his martial soul, this Earth Dragon Golden Melon is definitely good for his martial soul. Why hasn't it been discovered before? If this thing will harm him, he can still destroy this place before he dies. Without waiting for Navalette to speak, Dugubo walked aside, preparing to swallow the Earth Dragon Golden Melon for refining. Of course he couldn't let Dugu Yan try this kind of thing. Actually, haven't you already said thank you? Navalette murmured when he saw this. This Dugubo is really tough talking. For someone like him, asking him to say thank you is even more uncomfortable than killing him. Time passed minute by minute, and about 3 hours later, a loud dragon roar resounded throughout the Ice and Fire Eye. At this time, Dugubo took on a new look and looked much younger. In the state of being possessed by the martial spirit. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel 46, The Water and Fire Dragon King Sacrifices. Dugubo has undergone some subtle changes while possessed by the martial spirit. The first thing is the top of his head. In the center of his forehead, a green single poisonous horn grows. Secondly, there are scales and claws. Haha, it's so happy, it's so happy. Dugubo himself had forgotten how long it had been since he had been so relaxed. In the past, although his force was strong, his own toxins would bite him back from time to time, making his life worse than death. If Dugu Yan hadn't been so young, he might have given up hope of survival long ago. Only those who have personally experienced that kind of pain can understand how terrifying it is. After a while, Dugubo's laughter subsided, and then he took back his martial spirit. His appearance at this time is also very different from before. The green hair turned gray, which is the normal hair color. The color of the eyes also returned to normal. Of course, there is still a hint of green. This problem is not a problem at all for Dugubo. Boy, this deal is completed. From now on, this place belongs to you. Dugubo put his hands behind his back, looking like a master, and said calmly. Thank you so much, Your Excellency Dugu Mian. As soon as Villette finished speaking, Dugubo waved his hand and continued, it's just a transaction, why thank you. I have some things to do, so I'll stay here soon. Farewell. After saying this, Dugubo looked at Bingwo Liangyin again, with a trace of reluctance flashing in his eyes. You know, he spent most of his life taking care of this place. It's a pity that it no longer belonged to him just now. Without waiting for Villette and Lexius to say anything, Dugubo turned around and left without the slightest regret. He is afraid that if he continues to stay here, he will regret it. After Dugubo left, Navalette said, Grandpa, go get the jelly grass you need first, and I will see which jelly grass is more suitable for me. Good. Lexius was not pretentious, nodded, and walked towards the strange velvet and phoenix flowers. These two grass jelly go well with him, and they are not suitable for Naval to absorb. Phoenix is a fire attribute, and Navalette is a water attribute, so it is completely unsuitable. As for the fire apricot jiaoshu, it is different, because it is used to neutralize the star anise ice grass. Only by swallowing the two kinds of grasses together can one obtain immunity to ice and fire. Once you have a body that is immune to ice and fire, this strange velvet babble will be useless to Naval. Seeing the old man take two kinds of fairy grass and running to the corner to absorb it, Villette took another look at the ice and fire eyes. My mind was put into the sea of consciousness again. Fukalos, how do you absorb this energy? Navalette asked doubtfully. Fukalos does not have a specific body now, and it is temporarily unable to leave Navalette's sea of consciousness, unless it accumulates enough energy to survive. Now, how can Fukalos absorb this energy? As for the grass jelly, why is my wife so important? You just need to come into contact with the ice and fire spring water. Question mark. Quote. Navalette was startled. Was Fukalos using him as a transit point? Your feet are so slippery. It seems that the star anise ice grass and the fierce apricot are sparse. Before Villette finished speaking, he felt like there was a sound in his ears. Impossible, how is it possible? A dragon in human form. He is still of the nature of water, and his personality is more powerful than the one before me. Old Shui, did you see it wrong? No, it's absolutely true. His strength looks like that at the moment, but his status is really higher than mine. A dragon in human form is weird. It's so weird. Did father ever create a dragon in human form? Unclear, incomplete memory. The voice in his ears was definitely not an auditory hallucination. Villette frowned. Did he arouse the remnant soul of the Douluo Water and Fire Dragon King? He knows that these two old guys are not dead. However, their dragon souls should have no self-interest and can only be reunited after 20,000 years. But, now they actually still think of me. Could it be that my father created it but didn't tell us? The first generation of Dragon Kings were all the sons of the Dragon God. They called the Dragon God either their father or Father God. I shouldn't. I am already the Water Dragon King. There is no reason for my father to create another Water Dragon King. In case your father doesn't like you. Quote. The Water and Fire Dragon Kings chatted so much that they themselves forgot how long they had been dead. Just as their consciousness was about to dissipate, a dragon in human form appeared in front of them. His person is still above them. He is too weak at this time and will dissipate anyway. Why don't you and I take advantage of this moment to help him? Although I have never seen a dragon in human form, it is true that he is of the same race. His status is still higher than ours. Maybe the hope of the dragon clan's re-emergence lies with him. I have no problem helping him. Okay. This way it will be worthwhile for me to wait for death. Navalette was stunned. What were these two dragon kings talking about? Why can't he understand something? What helps him? Just when Villette was confused, two dragon souls flew out of the ice and fire spring water, looking straight at Navalette. One ice blue, one fiery red. Different from eastern dragons, they are more like winged lizards. Navalette didn't panic at all, and just looked at the two dragon souls. They looked at each other and did not give Navalette a chance to speak. Suddenly, the light from their bodies shone, turned into a stream of light, and shot toward Navalette. Question mark quote. Question mark quote. Both sides were stunned. Douluo Water Fire Dragon King quickly reacted. Martial spirit. Before they died, there was no such thing as a martial spirit. They didn't even have a martial spirit. Naturally, they didn't understand what a martial spirit was. However, they still have the ability to see through phenomena to see the essence. Have the rules of Douluo Star evolved into this? The two dragon kings secretly thought in their hearts. Without any hesitation, he continued the previous operation. Navalette instantly entered the state of possession by a martial spirit. He himself was the spirit. The so-called state of possession by a martial spirit was just a state. Not long after, two golden circles slowly rose from under his feet, and the state of the two dragon souls became more and more transparent. When they were about to die, they didn't know where the power came from, and pushed Villette down into the ice and fire spring water. There is still their heritage there. Question mark quote. What's the situation? These two old guys have been dead for so long, how can they be sacrificially sacrificed? Fortunately, Lexius was refining the energy of the fairy grass at this time, preparing to break through the tidal Douluo in one fell swoop, and was not paying attention to the situation outside, otherwise. 47. The short-lived wife is back. Time passed, and when Lexius opened his eyes with a smile on his face, he was ready to roar to the sky to express his joy of breaking through the tidal. The scene that caught his eye made the smile on his face freeze. While he was refining the fairy grass, what happened to the ice and fire eyes? Has it been gnawed by a dog or a cow? Lexius took a breath. The eyes are full of desolation. The two-dimensional eyes of ice and fire that were once full of vitality are now empty. No, there is one stone left. That is, the true nature of Acacia Heartbroken Red. Wait, where is my grandson? It doesn't matter how good the ice and fire eyes are. It was originally earned by Naval. He was very satisfied with being able to get two jelly grasses to break through to level 90. Nothing else needed. But where did his grandson go? After returning to the divine card, Lexius quickly scanned the entire scene, and he discovered an even weirder thing. Where is the ice and fire spring water from before? Lexius stroked his beard and frowned. He was even more confused. Hurry to the edge of the former ice and fire spring. Here, there is now only a bottomless pit. It was pitch black, and even Lexius couldn't see what was underneath. His expression is very wonderful. It has only been 5 hours at most since he absorbed the 2 fairy grasses, but the entire treasure land has undergone earth-shaking changes. Could it be Douluo Bo who took advantage of me while I was absorbing the fairy grass? No, if it's really him, he is fully capable of killing me directly. Thinking of this, Lexius was instantly possessed by a martial spirit, and he was ready to go down and find out. His martial spirit is the family's inherited martial spirit, the Flame Crow. Yes, it's the Flame Crow, not the Golden Crow. Because the color of the Golden Crow is golden, but their martial spirits are colorful black. But it is also a fire attribute martial spirit. It's not appropriate to call it Golden Crow, and everyone is relatively low-key, so it's very straightforward to call it Flame Crow. Although the name is not very good, soul beasts like the Flame Crow have some Golden Crow bloodline, not much, but some. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a fire attribute soul beast. As a martial spirit, although the Flame Crow spirit cannot be ranked among the top martial spirits, it is still a high-level martial spirit. Has the power of blood, is attached to elements, and can fly. If the power of blood is not too low, there will definitely be a place for the Flame Crow at the end of the top martial arts. There is a reason why it has been passed down for so many years. Now, after absorbing the strange velvet celestial chrysanthemum and the coxcomb phoenix sunflower, Lexius's martial spirit has faded away from the colorful black and turned into brilliant gold. The flame attribute has increased exponentially, and the power of the Golden Crow bloodline has also increased significantly. Possessed by the Golden Crow. At this moment, Lexius' martial spirit evolved. Became the Golden Crow martial spirit. One of the top martial arts souls. Golden Crow is also divided into 3-legged Golden Crow and ordinary Golden Crow. His martial spirit is only 2-legged Golden Crow, which belongs to ordinary Golden Crow. Lexius is very satisfied that the martial spirit has evolved to what it is today. His combat power has at least more than doubled. After being possessed by the martial spirit, a pair of golden wings sprouted from behind Lexius, surrounded by flames. He looked like a of fire. Without hesitation, he flew directly towards the deep pit below. With the special effects that comes with martial arts, the dark environment is like daylight to him. After a while, he saw the spring water falling at a speed visible to the naked eye. Navalette closed her eyes tightly and her upper body was floating on the water. The 2 arms emit light from time to time, the left arm is red and the right arm is blue. This scene made Lexius stunned for a moment. The situation of Villette was very much like washing and absorbing soul bones. But what is the reason why the water level dropped so fast? Lexius scratched his head, and after seeing that Villette was breathing normally and nothing happened, he returned to the ground. As long as Villette is fine, his interference cannot interrupt Villette's opportunity. Time passed, and in the blink of an eye it was 2 days later. Lexius went to the deep pit to explore from time to time to see if there was anything wrong with Villette. When he found that there was no problem, he returned to the ground with peace of mind, staring at the remaining red color of lovesickness with his mouth open. Villette said that one person can only eat 1 or 2 jelly grasses, and Lexius agreed with this. Because this is the case for him. But what about those missing medicinal materials? Let alone the fairy grass, it is poison, and all the more common medicinal materials are gone. If he didn't take away those 2 kinds of fairy grass in advance, he might be afraid that they would be gone by now, right? This is really not what Navalette ate. The 2 dragon kings of Douluo forcibly passed the inheritance to him. They have long since lost their bodies. Energy is needed to condense the soul rings and inheritance bones. Where does this energy come from? The ice and fire eyes are the best choice. Whether it is poison, tonic, or grass jelly, to put it bluntly, it is a kind of energy. Furthermore, during the fusion process of Navalite, Fukalos was also absorbing the energy of the ice and fire eyes. The 2 of them were like bottomless pits, absorbing the gifts from the Douluo water and fire dragon king. As the two people absorbed energy, the flowers and plants in the eyes of the ice and fire Liangyi were affected, and eventually turned into energy and entered the ground, flowing into the ice and fire spring water, and turning into nutrients. As for why Acacia Broken Heart Red has not been affected, it is because its essence is currently just a stone. At this time, deep underground, Navalette had woken up. After he calmly changed his clothes, he began to take stock of his surroundings. Every drop of ice and fire spring water was left, and two huge dragon bones came into view. None of these can attract Navalette. Instead, a familiar figure, the figure that haunted him in his dreams, appeared in front of him. Villette actually did not absorb much of the energy of the ice and fire eyes. Most of it was absorbed by Fukalos. Because Fukalos did not transform and stayed in the sea of consciousness of Navalite, all the energy seemed to be absorbed by Navalite. He is just a transit station. Navalette, we meet again. The two of them were close at hand, and Fukasuka gently touched Navalette's face with his bare hands, his eyes containing many things. Fukalos, welcome back. Villette stared at Fukalos without changing his expression. From his perspective, the dark environment was like daylight. Your eyes look so strange. You are even stranger now. Seeing Villette's burning eyes, Fukalos was startled, the hair on her head flickered, and she followed Villette's gaze. Ah, don't read it anymore. She had just reshaped her body, so naturally she had no clothes. The next moment, before Navalette could react, Fukalos turned into a ray of water blue light and rushed toward him. 48. White lies. Question mark question mark question mark quote. The sound in the pit made Lexius on the ground stunned, with a confused and dazed look on his face. If he didn't have auditory hallucinations just now, then he seemed to have heard an exclamation, and it was a female voice. Lexius scratched his head. If he remembered correctly, his grandson Navalette was the only one in the pit, right? What's happening here? There was something wrong with the sound, and he was too embarrassed to go down and investigate. In a moment, Villette flew out of the pit. His face looked a little strange and his eyes were dull, as if he was thinking about something. Grandson, what are you doing? Hearing Lexius's voice, Villette came back from his daze. He quickly waved his hands and said, Grandpa, I'm fine, I'm fine. Seeing Villette's appearance, Lexius asked even more doubtfully, is everything okay? It's really okay. But, I clearly heard just now. You are hallucinating. Question mark question mark question mark quote. Lexius looked confused. He hadn't even said what he heard. Then didn't Villette have 300 taels of silver in this place? When he came out of Villette, Lexius felt that something was wrong with him, but he was too embarrassed to ask more questions. Since Navalette didn't want to say more, he stopped talking nonsense. Looking at the ice and fire eyes, Lexius felt his heart bleed, but he felt relieved instantly. If this treasure land still exists, the comprehensive strength of the 8 major families will at least double. Future generations will also be able to. Of course, this place belongs to Navalette, and Lexius said it doesn't matter if it becomes what it is now. Anyway, he is only Navalette's adopted grandson, and the others are not even as close as Navalette and him. Now there is only the red color of lovesickness left here. Grandson, please put it away. This treasure land will have no value. After hearing this, Navalette began to look at the ice and fire eyes. The sight in front of him was shocking even if he had been prepared. Except for the stone, the ice and fire eyes have been destroyed. However, if a demon **** can reshape his body, it is worth destroying. Before Navalette came out of the pit, Fukalos actually turned into a stream of light and returned to his sea of consciousness. Perhaps it was what happened before that made Fukalos not know how to face Navalette, so she started pretending to be dead. No matter how Villette shouted, she just didn't speak. It's so embarrassing. Obviously, I woke up before him. How could I forget that? I forgot about that. It's over, it's all like this, I can't escape in this life. What a little pure water elf, what a little water dragon, it's too early. No, it can't be so fast. Navalette didn't know that Fukalos in the sea of consciousness was currently fighting between heaven and man. She was very entangled, and the most important thing was that she was shy. This is the first time in God's life that this kind of thing has happened. When she thought of the revenge from the Dragon King, she was both looking forward to it and fearful at the same time. Navalette. After thinking for a moment, Navalette directly put away the heartbroken red. This thing cannot be placed in an ordinary storage soul guide. It looks like a stone, but it is a living creature. It needs to be placed in a storage soul guide that can survive living creatures. Such storage soul guides are very rare. Douluo Bo has a Rui treasure bag that can store living things. Villette did not have one, but Lexius had one. After Lexius said that, he handed Navalette a storage bag capable of storing living things. This storage bag does not look as gorgeous as the Rui treasure bag. It looks very ordinary and has limited space, but it is worth a lot of money. Grandson, are you going to Tiando City to stay for a while, or are you going back to Soto City? The ice and fire eyes have been destroyed and have no value anymore, so there is no need to send anyone to guard them. Lexius needs to obtain the 9th spirit ring to truly break through to the level of titled Douluo. To be on the safe side, he needs help from some people, namely Contras from the other 7 families. Of course, not everyone is invited. 8 major families, there are 4 in the Tiando Empire, and the same is true in the Star Luo Empire. Lexius is now 90% sure about hunting the 9th spirit ring alone, but it is still not appropriate. He needs to be 100% sure. You probably need to get the 9th soul ring, right? Navalette did not say where he was going, but instead said thoughtfully. After hearing this, Lexius nodded, without concealing anything, and said directly, that's right. After absorbing those 2 immortal grasses, my martial spirit has evolved into the Golden Crow, and my soul power level has also exceeded 8. The limit of level 19 has reached level 90. A strong person at level 90 is considered a quasi-titled Douluo. As long as he obtains 1 more soul ring, he can break through to the title level. Let me go with you. Villette had no expression on his face and said it naturally. Lexius was stunned. He knew Villette's strength and was unrivaled among his peers. However, the soul beast he has to deal with now is not that simple. Lexius refused without even thinking about this. No. If you want to experience soul hunting, Grandpa can take you for a walk afterwards, but you can't joke this time. Lexius shook his head repeatedly and said. Villette was stunned. He was no longer a child, but here in Lexius, it seemed that he would never grow up. After thinking for a moment, Navalette nodded and did not continue to argue with Lexius. With Lexius's current strength, even if he faced a 100,000-year-old soul beast, wouldn't he be able to defeat him or run away? After thinking about it for a while, Navalette finally nodded and said, then I'll go back to Soto City first. By the way, are you going to hunt souls in the Star Do Forest or this Sunset Forest this time? After hearing this, Lexius pondered for a while, and then said, although there are high-level soul beasts in the Sunset Forest, they are not comparable to the Star Do Forest in terms of quality or age. At this point, Lexius paused and continued, I will wander around the Sunset Forest first. If there are suitable soul beasts, there is no need to go to the Star Do Forest. There are many high-level fire attribute soul beasts in the Sunset Forest. What if you meet the right one? Time passed, and the grandfather and grandson temporarily parted ways. Lexius first went to the depths of the Sunset Forest to see if there was a high-level soul beast suitable for him. Villette, are you deceiving your grandpa? Hearing the voice in his head, Villette's eyes twitched, and he followed secretly, protecting Lexius, so how could it become a deception? This is a white lie. Fukalos, are you finally willing to speak? I thought you would continue. 49. Fire-breathing, lizard, for more than 95,000 years. Pretending to be dead or something. Fukalos murmured, his face turned red with embarrassment. How could she be embarrassed about such a thing? No, I just haven't recovered my strength yet and need to rest for a while. Yes, rest for a while. After hearing this, Villette was stunned. Isn't such a big ice and fire eye enough to restore Fukalos to his peak state? Navalette was thoughtful. He remembered that there was a lake of life in the real core area of the Star Forest. Fukalos. Is there a possibility that she is just making an excuse? After losing the throne, she still has the status of a demon god. Although she has not yet reached her peak, the difference is not much. This idiot actually thought what she said was true. It's so easy to lie. Your feet are so slippery. The little episode on Fukalos' side did not affect Navalette's tracking of Lexius. Speaking of which, Lexius is indeed a strong man who has been in Douluo Continent for decades. He has rich experience in hunting souls. It is easy for him to detect where soul beasts are and what level they are. A 90-level quasi-titled Douluo, not to mention walking sideways in this sunset forest, is actually not much different. It wasn't until Lexius reached the depths of the sunset forest that he calmed down. Question mark closing parenthesis. Billet suddenly frowned. Is there such a spirit beast in the sunset forest? In order to prevent Lexius from discovering him, there was a distance between them. Even if Lexius achieved the title, he could not be discovered. Although this spirit beast has not reached the 100,000-year level, it should be considered the absolute overlord in this sunset forest, right? At this moment, a loud dragon roar echoed through the sky, allowing Navalette to confirm his suspicion. This is a fire-attributed dragon that is more than 90,000 years old, close to 100,000 years old. Such an existence, let alone the sunset forest, even in the Star Doe forest, would be a powerful soul beast at the overlord level. Dragon soul beasts are naturally much more powerful than ordinary soul beasts of the same level, not to mention the sub-dragon, which is more than 90,000 years old. Lexius looked confused at this time. He was planning to take his old brothers to the Star Doe forest for a walk after returning. However, the sunset forest actually gave him a surprise. Not a surprise, but a shock. Yulong, who has been around for more than 90,000 years, is this kind of existence something he can face alone? This guy seems to have discovered him. This is a blazing blue dragon that is more than 95,000 years old. According to its perception, humans dare to intrude into its territory. This is a challenge to its authority. If the fire dragon doesn't go crazy, just treat it as a decoration, right? Under normal cultivation conditions, it only needs to wait another 1,800 years before it can break through to the 100,000-year level. The age of a soul beast has little to do with its true age. For example, the deep-sea demonic whale king is probably around 250,000 years old, but its age is more than 950,000 years old. This depends on the talent of the beast. There are also two dark gold terraclaw bears raised by Huo Yuhao. When they first started, they were just 100-year-old spirit beasts. After the ice and fire eyes flashed, their age reached the level of 10,000 years. The age of the soul beast, talent, and opportunities are all related. At this time, Lexius's back felt a little cold, and his forehead was covered in cold sweat. This blazing blue dragon had really discovered him. Fortunately, if he only wanted to escape, the blazing blue dragon would not be able to do anything to him. Give it a try and see if it's possible to hunt. Lexius thought to himself that he did not run away immediately, but was ready to give it a try. If there was a chance to hunt this dragon, he would call his good brothers when he returned. The Soul Master's information is important, and the Soul Beast's information is equally important. After some testing, you can make fewer mistakes when officially hunting souls, and the success rate will be higher. Although it is not a flying fire-type soul beast, its quality is much higher than most flying fire-type soul beasts. Possessed by the Golden Crow. 8 soul rings of yellow, yellow, purple, purple, black, 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 and black quickly rose from the feet of Lexius. A pair of golden wings spread out, his hands turned into sharp claws, and golden flames burst out from all over his body. Navalette's side was only 100 meters away from Lexius at this time, but Lexius's focus was entirely on the fiery Kanglong not far away, and he did not notice Navalette's arrival at all. Facing Lexius, who was possessed by the martial spirit, the fiery Kanglong showed a touch of human ridicule. At its level, although it could not yet speak human words, its wisdom was no weaker than that of humans. The human in front of me only has 8 soul rings, and is not even a titled Douluo. How dare he face a sub-dragon like him alone? This is simply asking for death. Roar. The blazing blue dragon roared angrily, and then rushed towards Lexius with its huge body. The two soon came together to fight, and from the initial trial, they gradually developed a real fire. Lexius' martial soul has just evolved and he still doesn't have an accurate understanding of his combat power. During this battle, he felt more and more that this blazing blue dragon was nothing more than that. Fight. You can't beat, but you can't lose either. The fiery Kanglong was also a little frightened. The Contra in front of him was a bit more powerful than the titled Douluo he had faced before. After a wave of testing, the two sides vaguely understood the strength of their opponents and couldn't help but start to get serious. If it were really a fight for his life, Lexaeus would not be the opponent of the Blazing Blue Dragon. First of all, the Blazing Blue Dragon is a sub-dragon and a weak existence among the sub-dragons. Its age is almost 100,000 years. Secondly, Lexaeus currently only has 8 rings. Although he has broken through to level 90 and is a quasi-titled Douluo, he has not been baptized by the 9th spirit ring after all, so he cannot be regarded as a true titled Douluo. Facing a Yulong that is more than 90,000 years old, if it is an ordinary titled Douluo, such as the former Dugu Bo, there is no need to think about how fast Dugu Bo can run. Beat. There is no hope of winning at all. After the old man obtained the fairy grass, his martial soul evolved and his strength increased greatly. He can face the sub-dragon species. No, what kind of dragon species is this fire-breathing lizard? Navalette shook his head and prepared to help Lexaeus take down the blazing blue dragon. If it were other spirit beasts, he might have to waste a lot of effort at this time, but it is a fire-breathing lizard. In this way, it becomes easier. With one step forward, Villette instantly burst out with his aura and momentum, crushing towards the fiery azure dragon. At the same time, he also switched to fighting form. Gold, gold. 2 golden soul rings rose from his feet, and Villette's appearance changed a little. 50. I despise everyone who is tall and great. The terrifying, soul power, fluctuations erupted, and Villette's appearance also changed slightly. The pair of aqua blue dragon horns prove Navalette's identity. Question mark question mark question mark quote. Lexaeus looked confused. If he couldn't sense such a powerful soul power fluctuation, then his quasi-titled Douluo would not live up to his name. The raging fire Kanglong was also shocked. This was the aura of an absolutely superior person, making it a sub-dragon that was more than 95,000 years old, unable to move at all and trembling. In the dragon clan, the bloodline hierarchy among the same clan is extremely strict. True dragons absolutely suppress sub-dragons, and sub-dragons absolutely suppress ordinary soul beasts with dragon bloodline. When the human beings not far away see him, it is like seeing the source of blood. That sense of oppression prevents it from exerting 50% of its 100% strength. No, this person in front of me, why would he be hostile to it? The Yulong is also a dragon, not to mention that it is already so powerful, and it is only a few thousand years away from the 100,000-year-old soul beast. Besides, we are both members of the dragon clan, so why would this human-looking dragon have murderous intentions towards it? Shouldn't we unite first to deal with the flaming human being? Roar. The raging fire Kanglong roared in confusion. It was confused and confused. At the same time, this roar was also a way of communication. It wanted to understand. As a member of the same race, why would Navalette want to kill it? Even if you want to kill it, shouldn't you first deal with the outsiders and then kill it? Navalette didn't pay attention to the roar of the raging dragon. He stood tall and walked towards one person and one dragon at a fast pace. Grandson. Lexaeus was stunned. He never expected that Villette would appear here. Even if Villette got a great opportunity in the treasure land, his previous strength was only at the Soul Emperor level. No matter how powerful it is, how powerful can it be? Lexaeus didn't expect this at all. That Villette could follow him showed that Villette's strength was not as weak as he thought. After coming back to his senses, Lexaeus was ready to escape with Navalette. He was no match for this blazing blue dragon. Before the opponent got serious, he could still fight back and forth. However, if the other party becomes serious, he will have no choice but to run away. Now, there is another oil bottle, and he is even less likely to be the opponent of Agni Kanglong. Thinking of this, Lexaeus felt a lot of pressure. The child was not sensible, so he had to be sensible. At this moment, Lexaeus looked confused. Let's not mention the golden soul ring on Villette's body. Why is this blazing blue dragon trembling? Then Villette took a step forward, and it took a step back, but it didn't dare to run away, but looked pitiful. The changes in the blazing blue dragon caught Lexaeus's attention. He found that the blazing blue dragon seemed to be very afraid and awe of Navalette. This is a dragon that is about 95,000 years old. Why does it have such emotions towards a human being? Even if a titled Douluo arrives, it is impossible for it to have such emotions, right? General titled Douluo is not necessarily its opponent, so how can it be feared by titled Douluo? Spirit beasts that are more than 90,000 years old and close to 100,000 years old, even those with dragon bloodline, are all top-notch soul beasts. Ordinary titled Douluo will take a detour after encountering them. What's more, it's Yulong. In just a moment, Villette had already walked to Lexius, but his eyes were not on Lexius. Instead, he stared at the flame lizard, not far away. After thinking for a moment, Villette said, "Flame lizard, it's up to you to try my new ability." In the eyes of Ice and Fire, the two Dragon Kings of Douluo originally planned to package all their bloodlines and inheritance to Navalette. As a result, they found that Navalette's bloodline level seemed to be higher than them. Fusing their bloodlines will make Villette's bloodline no longer pure. In this way, it will harm the new Water Dragon King. Thinking of this, the Water and Fire Dragon King could only smile helplessly, and regarded himself as the most important bloodline power, turning it into a divine bone. It is also a divine outfit, accessory that is passed on to Navalite. In this way, Navalite can inherit their authority and inheritance without affecting the power of Navalite's own bloodline. The power of their bloodline is no longer complete after so many years, but if combined, it is completely capable of creating a new first-generation Dragon King. However, the power of Villette's bloodline is too high. They are both dragons, so they can't harm this descendant. At the end of the memory, Villette held the scepter in his right hand, but raised his left hand and pointed it at the blazing blue dragon. In Lexius's surprised eyes, he saw Villette's arm flashing, and a strong breath of flames came towards his face. You know, his Lexius martial soul has evolved into the Golden Crow martial soul, and he actually feels a blazing heat. In the palm of Navalette's hand, red light condensed, and a circle of light formed by the fire element quickly formed and appeared in front of Navalette's left hand. I despise all those who are tall and great. The flame appeared, like a rotating water column, spraying towards the raging dragon. Ho! No! Liehuo Kanglong never thought that one day he would be so powerless when facing the fire element. An angry roar was its last act of resistance, or it could be said that it did not dare to resist at all. This is the power of blood at work, as if it is facing its own ancestor, how can it resist? The rotating fire pillar directly repels the Agni fire Kanglong, burning it and penetrating it in just an instant. Seeing this, Navalette quickly stopped outputting soul power. He was helping Lexius hunt the soul beast, not that he needed the soul ring himself. He himself was a little stunned. Is the inheritance of the Fire Dragon King, coupled with his own skills, so powerful? Lexius's mind was filled with questions. He remembered that Villette had a water attribute. How did the fire attribute, which was more powerful than him, come from? Wait a minute, isn't this power wrong? Looking at the dying raging dragon, Lexius was stunned for a while. This dragon, which even he couldn't defeat, was instantly killed by Navalette. Lexius took a breath, feeling like he was in a dream. Old man, it is dying. What are you waiting for? Oh. After hearing Villette's reminder, Lexius came back to his senses and nodded subconsciously. But he still couldn't help but take a second look at Villette. This child has grown up. Chapter 51. Thor is a broad-minded god, but you are not. On the 7th day that Villette was away, I missed him. On the 15th day of Villette's absence, I missed him. Villette has been away for a month, I miss him. It's enough. The man faced his girlfriend and roared angrily. If you think so much about Villette, why are you still with me? This is torture. My girlfriend thinks about the referee every day. If not torture, what is this? I know my own situation, am I worthy of others? Quote. The man looked confused. What did he mean by this? Since you can't support my brother, let's break up. Quote. There are many people who have staged this scene in Soto City. Tang San was full of joy and sorrow at this time. Some time ago, he finally broke through to level 30, and with the help of Li Yusong, he obtained the third soul ring. Why did Tang San also get help from Li Yusong? In Shrek Academy, Flanders needs to stay at the academy to prevent accidents from happening. The other teachers don't know how to deal with it. Zhao Wuji was seriously injured by Tang Hao. Now he can just get out of bed and walk, so naturally he cannot lead the team. He was beaten like this by Tang Hao. If he led the team, Flanders was really afraid that Zhao Wuji would not be able to help but kill Tang San. As for Lu Qibing, he is a control soul emperor. Although his soul power level is higher than that of Li Yusong, his role in the soul hunting forest is not as good as that of Li Yusong. Xiao Xin. Did he accompany Tang San to feed the spirit beasts? This soul saint's combat power is not as strong as Tang San's, why should he follow Tang San to see him off? Of course, due to the butterfly effect, Shrek Academy did not have an enmity with Kangwei Academy, nor did it meet the Dragon King or the Snake Woman, nor did it meet the human-faced demon spider. Tang San's third spirit ring was also produced by a spider spirit beast, but its age and quality were far different from the human-faced demon spider in the original work. Xiaowu also broke through to level 30, but she didn't tell Flanders and instead asked for a few days off. Flanders thought for a moment and then agreed. A few days later, Xiaowu returned and successfully obtained the third soul ring. As long as I win one more game, I can go to the home game. Tang San clenched his fists and said confidently. Before he broke through to level 30, with his level 29 strength, he won the game very easily, and then won 8 consecutive victories. After returning from the soul hunt, he participated in another duel. His opponent was a 30-level agility attack type war soul master. After winning, Tang San's self-confidence exploded. Today will be the moment when he wins 10 consecutive victories. There were no surprises. Tang San's opponent in this match was just a 30-level soul master. Like him, he had just broken through. He successfully obtained the tickets for the home field. Sisters, have you heard? Villette is back today. What? Is Villette back? Yes, I heard from the staff of the Fighting Spirit Arena that Navalit will be the referee at the home court again starting from tomorrow. Oh my god, we have to work hard, we are still 3 games short of 10 consecutive wins. Listening to the conversation of the female soul masters, Tang San's expression changed, and his smile gradually solidified. That Navalet who has a way to die is back. Why did he come back? During this period, his ears finally became clear because after Navalet left, Xiaowu did not continue to mention Navalet's name. At this time, Tang San, although something was missing, his thoughts had not changed. After something was missing, there would be no change on the surface. At most, his beard would fall off. Tang San turned to look at Xiaowu, and sure enough, Xiaowu's eyes lit up, and her face without a smile was instantly filled with smiles, looking excited. Great, I knew Villette would be back. Third brother, we have won 10 consecutive victories today, and we will go to the home court tomorrow. There is only one home court, and we will all meet Navalet by then. Xiaowu was so happy that she almost jumped, extremely excited. The corners of Tang San's eyes were twitching. Maybe only Xiaowu and those Yango were happy. People's joys and sorrows are not the same. Tang San couldn't be happy at all. Having just won 10 consecutive games and entered the home court, will he be tortured by Navalet again? How about changing to a spirit fighting arena? However, the entire Soto city is only one big soul fighting arena. If you run to other big cities, you don't know how long it will take to go back and forth. The scene changed to Navalet's side. Navalet, you, sit down a little bit, sit a little bit over. On the sofa, Fukalos' face turned a little rosy and he whispered. At this time, she was wearing a white and aqua blue dress, sitting on the sofa and gently pushing Navalet. Navalet shook his head and moved some distance away calmly. Actually, it's not necessary. Look at you, after reshaping your body, why don't you strengthen it a little? It's really hard for you to feed the little pure water elf and the little water dragon with your flat appearance. Villette said with his expression unchanged and his heart not beating. He looked straight ahead and sat upright. Question mark. Quote. Fukalos was stunned for a moment, her brows furrowed, her beautiful eyes full of confusion, she lowered her head and had a clear view. You guy. Fukalos' heart and body were trembling. He pointed at Navalet and stopped talking. What tablet? Damn it. Fukalos gritted his teeth and stared at Navalet fiercely. If he hadn't said anything, Fukalos really wouldn't have noticed anything was wrong. She has never seen General Thunder and Lightning, but she heard that General Thunder and Lightning is a god with a broad mind. She can never see her toes when she lowers her head. As a demon, I am still in my infancy after 500 years, but I will still grow up. Fukalos retorted. Navalette curled her lips, this was obviously a matter of talent, she had to admit it. Look at Zhu Zuqing, she is only a little over 11 years old, and her ambition is no bigger than that of General Thunder and Lightning. She is a gifted person. As if thinking of something, Villette turned to Fukalos and said, go out and experience the life of the people in Douluo Continent. Put your shoes on. This place is not as clean as the stage of the Fontaine Opera House. If your feet are slippery, you will be stained with dust. He did not continue to discuss matters with Fukalos, but stood up and prepared to take Fukalos out to see the world. Although she could see through his world before, it was still very different from her own experience. Cunning. This is a last resort. How could such a simple and kind-hearted **** be so cunning? You help me. Fukalos stretched his foot towards Navalette and shook it playfully. Who is over 500 years old, please be more mature. Villette said this, but still knelt down and helped Fukalos put on his shoes. Don't say it, really don't say it, this foot. Dear brothers, the author is Mengxin Gutu, please give me some recommendation votes, monthly tickets, gifts, etc. Thank you brothers for your support. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel Chapter 52. The tide came from the Qiantang River, and today you know who I am. Little Nawi, who is she? Navalette and Fukalos had just walked out of the room when they bumped into Dudu who came to visit Navalette. When she saw Fukalos, the smile on her face gradually disappeared and froze, and she stopped talking. Dudu was certain that she had never seen this girl before. She also knew Villette's character and would hardly interact with outsiders. It is even more impossible to bring other girls home. After being able to come out of Villette's room, this girl's face is still very rosy. If you think a little bit, will you be close to the truth? Hello Dudu, I am Fukalos, a friend of Villette. Before Navalette could speak, Fukalos walked out from behind Navalette, stretched out his right hand, and smiled at Dudu. As soon as these words came out, Dudu was stunned. Could this girl have seen the competition she hosted? How else would you know her name? It is normal to know her name. After all, she is the gold medal host of Soto City. Friend. Dudu murmured, and the smile on his face suddenly felt like a spring breeze. The speed of his face change was faster than turning the pages of a book. Just as he was about to hold Fukalos' hand, Villette said, Sister Dudu, she is Fukalos, my unmarried wife. ? Quote. After hearing this, the smile on Dudu's face froze again, and his outstretched hand stopped in midair. Not yet married, wife. After murmuring something, Dudu's face lit up and he almost cried. What is going on? Can you let sadness happen just once? This happens over and over again, and it hurts even more. It hurts so much. From up pointing arrow. Fukalos' face turned red, he raised his head and looked at Villette, but did not refute this. If you want to say who is the best match in the world, who else can be there besides them? Seeing this, Dudu finally came to his senses. She has been hosting all the time. What scene has she not seen before? However, she has never seen this scene before. Wow. Okay, you two are a good match. Whether it's your clothes or your appearance. She doesn't change her expression on the surface, but in fact her heart is bleeding. Navalette went away for a month and brought back a young girl, saying that she was a wife he had not yet married. This is a little hard for Dudu to accept. Yes, that's right, little Navi, we need you to be the referee for tomorrow's game, don't be too late. Well, okay, Sister Dudu. Then I wish you a happy time. After saying this, Dudu turned around and ran away, a little faster than when he came. You, Sister Dudu, I like you very much. Fukalos looked sideways slightly and smiled. Are you planning to get the little pure water elf now? You know how to do this. Yes, it works great, doesn't it? I'll ignore you, lead the way. Fukalos snorted and tilted his head, but his mind was full of thoughts. Then he lowered his head and looked at his toes. It's still too early. He won't be able to survive, right? Damn it, how could she have such a thought in her mind? Yes, he must have been led astray by Navalette. Glancing at Fukalos, who looked like a doormat, Villette's lips slightly raised. It was interesting. It was so interesting to bully the real water god. Fukalos at this time is so similar to the human side of Funina. Well, Funina was originally the separated human nature of Fukalos, which was the character she originally had. It is reasonable that it will become what it is now. At night in Soto City, in addition to the entertainment venue of the Soul Fighting Arena, the scenery along the river is the most eye-catching. Shall we go for a walk along the river? Navalette said as he walked. Mainly because you like places like waterside, right? Fukalos muttered something in a low voice and nodded repeatedly. It doesn't matter where you go, the main thing is who you go with. Seeing that Fukalos had no objection, Navalette took her out of the spirit fighting arena. At this time, night has just arrived, which is when the spirit fighting arena is busy, and there are hardly many pedestrians on the street. Those who should go to bed have already gone to bed, and those who should go to the spirit fighting arena or other entertainment venues have also arrived. Other entertainment venues. Check boxes or something. The two of them walked in tandem, and at some point, they walked side by side. Of course, Fukalos was a bit shorter than Navalette, otherwise she wouldn't have to look up at Navalette. After a while, the two people's hands were held together at some point. Hey, isn't this Mr. Villette? He's dating that girl. What a talented man and beautiful woman. Great. He finally talked about his girlfriend. This time, my girlfriend won't continue to miss him, right? Ha ha ha. The young man who said this doesn't even understand what pure white lily of the valley is. The buzz around him made Fukalos blush a little, but he did not let go of Villette's hand. She is a god, how can she be afraid of the opinions of mortals? Yes, that's it. Wow. Had I known it earlier, I wouldn't have come out so quickly and continued to pretend to be dead. Okay, isn't it bad to just pretend to be dead? Such a scene, this is the first time in my life. Soon, the two arrived at the city gate and then left Soto City. There is no river in the city of Soto. If you want to go to the river, you have to go to the suburbs. How do you feel here? After arriving at the river, what you see is the bright moon and star projections, both in the sky and in the water. There are lush green plants on both sides of the river, and their figures are also reflected on the water. The sound of insects is endless, and from time to time a fish jumps out of the water, splashing in the water, and then creating ripples. Such an environment can completely relieve the restless heart, which is one of the reasons why Navalette likes places by the water. It's beautiful here, just like the night in Fontaine. Fukalos let go of Villette's hand, walked to a slightly more open area, and turned around in a circle, as if feeling the beauty of nature. To be honest, I have no memory of being the supreme judge. I always seem to be imitating the person I used to be, but I am not him after all. Villette took out a bench from somewhere, sat down, and murmured to himself. It seemed that he was speaking to Fukalos, and he also seemed to be asking himself. After hearing this, Fukalos came over, sat next to Villette, caressed Navalette's cheek with his right hand, and said, "Is this important? You are yourself. I am who I am." Navalette thought for a moment and suddenly realized, yes, does it matter who it is? He is still him. Dear Water God, God of Justice, thank you. Chapter 53. Tang San. The clown is actually myself. Under the moonlight, the two hugged each other and felt each other's heartbeats. Gradually, the atmosphere seemed a little ambiguous. Just as Fukalos was about to say something, a voice interrupted her. Xiao Wu, I told you that the referee is not a good person, can you trust me for once? Question mark. Quote. Villette and Fukalos in his arms looked at each other, and the corners of their eyes twitched. Is this because they were facing each other? San, Tang San. How many times have I told you, that Villette is not that kind of person? The girl said confidently that she originally wanted to call her third brother, but after thinking about it carefully, it would be better to put a little distance between herself and Tang San. After hearing this, Tang San's expression changed, and he said subconsciously, Xiao Wu, are you calling me Tang San now? He was shocked, confused, and his eyes were full of doubts. Xiao Wu actually called him Tang San. Just because of that referee, Xiao Wu doesn't even recognize him as his half-brother. HMPH, you are targeting Villette like this, I don't even want to shout Tang San. You. Tang San's right hand suddenly raised, pointing at Xiao Wu, his mouth slightly opened, but he stopped talking. He almost spat out a mouthful of blood, he was so angry. Xiao Wu, you have forgotten the oath we made. I said I would protect you for the rest of my life. Well, Villette is really not a good person. I can feel it. Please don't continue like this, okay? Tang San calmed down a little and said. After hearing this, Xiaowu curled her lips. It's up to you to decide, but she didn't say anything. Since Villette is not a good person, is there a possibility that Villette is not a human being at all? Ahem, player Tang San, you've slandered my reputation so much, it's time for me to come out and say a few words. At this moment, Tang San's ears heard Villette's voice, which made him think he was hallucinating. How could Villette be here? Xiao Wu, did you hear anything? Tang San shook his head and asked doubtfully. Wow, Villette, why are you here? Xiao Wu exclaimed after seeing the person coming. Tang San. Not an illusion. Little dancing girl, we have always been here. Navalette spread his hands, looked at Fukalos, who was smiling, and pointed to the bench next to him. Xiao Wu, Tang San. It seems that the other party did get here first. This made Tang San's question about whether Villette was following him, but Tang San was stuck in his throat. Villette, this Tang San is quite prejudiced against you. Fukalos covered his mouth and chuckled. Isn't this much better than a drama? There is no need for a director or anything, there is no rehearsal, and the main focus is to seek truth from facts. Hearing this, Villette's eyes twitched, and Tang San realized that he didn't have much prejudice against him. Perhaps the foreshadowing has been laid from the very beginning of their meeting. Just because Xiao Wu praised his appearance, at that time, he probably had a plan to die. Tang San was numb at this time and was talking bad things about Villette behind his back. As a result, he was here. The crowd looked for him thousands of times, but suddenly looking back, Villette and his sister were deep in the grass. At this time, the situation was a bit embarrassing, especially for Tang San. How could a gentleman like him speak ill of others and be heard by the person involved? No, he is the Soul Master, and I am also the Soul Master now. Why are I afraid of what he will do? Thinking of this, Tang San was suddenly shaken. The last time he was knocked unconscious by Navalite was the last time. At that time, he was just a great Soul Master. He was sneak attacked by Naviolate and had no defense at all, so he fainted. This is a great shame. Tang San must come back with revenge. Yes, Villette, I have a very big prejudice against you. I, Tang San, can't feel the justice and fairness in your words at all. In those few spirit battles, you were completely targeting me. Tang San almost shouted these words. There is a limit to a person's patience. When his strength reaches a certain level and equals or surpasses those he hates, he will explode. At this moment, Tang San had broken through to the Soul Master level and won 2 more duels. It was a moment of high spirits. In his heart, Villette was just a Soul Master whose soul power was slightly higher than his, and he was completely fearless. Tang San, that's enough. You are simply making trouble unreasonably. It was you who violated the rules, so what's wrong with Villette? Before Villette could say anything, Xiaowu beside Tang San immediately yelled at Tang San. She didn't expect that Tang San would be so shameless and said that Villette was unfair. Is this possible? Indeed there is. However, if Villette was only targeting Tang San, then he must have a reason. Did Tang San do something wrong? Xiao Wu, you are too poisoned. Can't you see that Villette is targeting me like this? Snort. After saying this, Tang San snorted coldly, and then continued, it's useless to talk more, let me see the real deal. Villette, the last time you knocked me out, it was because my soul power was not as good as yours, and you were attacked by surprise, so you succeeded. Do you dare to take a gamble? Let's have a 1v1 spirit battle, right here. Tang San said firmly. After hearing this, Villette was shocked. He's coming, he's coming, he's coming. A gamble. This is Tang San's famous scene. He always makes bets, like this with Zhao Wuji, Meng Yiren, Dugu Bo, Tailong, Tainuo, Taitan. Looking at each other with Fukalos, the Villette people were all numb. What is going on with Tang San and Xiao Wu? As for this bet, he was about to punish Tang San, but he came to the door himself. Oh, I wonder, Tang San, what do you have to bet on? Villette said without changing his expression. Since you want to bet, you naturally need to bet. Suddenly, Villette seemed to have thought of something, waved his hand, and continued, golden soul coins are the most indispensable thing for me. If you are prepared to use gold soul coins as a bet, there is no need to discuss this matter. After hearing this, Tang San was startled. Thinking about it carefully, his billet seemed to be really not short of gold soul coins. By the way, this plate crystal was my bet. Speaking of which, I spent 10,000 gold soul coins to buy it from Mr. Flanders. Its own value is far more than 10,000 gold soul coins. Tang San, what do you think of this bet? If it doesn't work, I can change it. Looking at the plate crystal in Billet's hand, Tang San was shocked. He subconsciously rubbed his eyes. After looking carefully, he looked shocked. Hey guys, this is really the best plate crystal. Wait a minute, did Billet say he bought this from Flanders? Tang San looked at Billet in confusion. He actually knew the value of this broken crystal. Flanders had mentioned this before. At that time, Tang San also said that Billet was ill. Created AQ Group. 856,480,092. Brothers who are interested can add me. 54. Bet. Tang San only knew that Billet spent 10,000 gold soul coins from Flanders to buy a broken crystal. He did not know that this so-called broken crystal was actually plate crystal, which could also be said to be hair crystal. This piece of plate crystal in Navelet's hand is the best among plate crystals. Let alone 10,000 gold soul coins, you may not be able to buy even 100,000 gold soul coins. At that time, Flanders seemed to have said that he originally only planned to accept 1 gold soul coin, but Billet gave him 10,000 gold soul coins. Damn it, why didn't I, Tang San, pick up this leak? This should have been my chance. Don't say it, this opportunity really was his. Flanders doesn't know crystals and thinks they are just broken crystals so that Navelet can pick them up. This four-eyed owl of his is really blind. Tang San's mentality was a bit broken. This kind of top-quality plate crystal was hard to come by. The entire Douluo Continent didn't know if he could find a second one. He was bound to get this one. He thought so, but Tang San was still thinking about another issue, which was what kind of equal bet he should make. It would be okay if Navelite didn't know the specific value of the best plate crystal, but the other party obviously knew it, which would be difficult to handle. Tang San was poor, so it was not easy to come up with something that was equivalent to the best plate crystal. Tang San, do you think this plate crystal is not good? How about changing it to another type? Seeing that Tang San didn't speak for a long time, Billet said, calmly. He knew it clearly in his heart, how could Bonjing not work? To the current Tang San, this top-quality plate crystal is a treasure, a necessity for making some top-notch hidden weapons. Not only that, the hair crystal is a natural hidden weapon, with the ability to break the protective aura. Tang San will definitely agree to this bet, but as for what equivalent thing he will come up with, Billet doesn't know. As expected, after hearing this, Tang San was shocked and said quickly, no need to change. Change to another. How is it possible to change Navelet to another type? Is there anything more valuable than this plate crystal? Tang San is bound to get this plate crystal. Since Billet was used as a bet, he would not be able to take back the plate crystal. So, what's your bet? You know, I am the most fair and just person, if it is an unequal bet. Billet didn't finish his words, but Tang San understood what he was going to say. Fair. Tang San fell into deep thought. What should he use to bet against Navelet? Except for the Tang sect's treasury of knowledge, he found that he was really poor and had nothing, except a few hundred gold soul coins, but the gold soul coins were the most indispensable thing in Billet. Besides, you can't buy the best plate crystal with this gold soul coin. Tang San felt that he would never lose in this spirit fight, and it didn't seem to matter what he put as a bet. Thinking of this, Tang San gritted his teeth and touched the 24 bridges on his waist on a bright moonlit night, and some paper appeared in his hand. I'll bet you on how to make the Rainstorm Pear Blossom Needle. The Rainstorm Pear Blossom Needle is a top-notch hidden weapon. To make this hidden weapon, you need to use deep-sea sunken silver and the most important plate crystal. As for what a hidden weapon is, you can understand it as a weapon that can be activated without using soul power. Tang San briefly explained, how could this native know what a hidden weapon was? Besides, even if you give him the blueprint for making the heavy rain pear blossom needle, what can he do? Is it possible that he can really make it? Impossible. There are so many ancestors in the Tang sect, but few of them can make this rainstorm pear blossom needle, let alone those who know nothing about hidden weapons. Heavy rain pear blossom needle. Navalette certainly knows what the rainstorm pear blossom needle is. The value of this thing, even if it is just a blueprint, to some people who need it, is far more than the value of a top-quality plate crystal. However, Villette does not need this blueprint. The rainstorm pear blossom needle cannot be produced on a large scale and can only be produced in small quantities at most. For the huge Douluo Continent, this thing will not play any role and may even be short-lived. If you are making weapons. Looking at Fukalos on the side, this is the arms chief. Aren't the weapons produced by Fontaine more powerful than Tang San's Zug divine crossbows and sleeve arrows? Sorry, I don't need what you call a hidden weapon. This drawing of the rainstorm pear blossom needle may be valuable, but to me, it's just waste paper. Navalette shook his head and said slowly, the heavy rain pear blossom needle drawing is really of no use. If Tang San can't come up with anything else, then Villette doesn't mind beating him up. Tang San was slandering him before. Fortunately, this is not Fontaine, there is no tribunal, otherwise, Tang San would have to be sued for slander. Let him go and drive screws in Merlot Petersburg. After hearing this, Tang San fell silent. While the other party recognized the heavy rain pear blossom needle drawing, he also said that he did not need such a thing. This put Tang San in a difficult position, and he complained in his heart that Villette didn't know the goods. This is one of the top 3 hidden weapons in the Tang sect. The value is only higher than that of a top-quality plate crystal. After thinking for a moment, Tang San took back the blueprint for making the heavy rain pear blossom needle, took out another blueprint, and said to Villette, this is my self-created soul skill, and its name is Hidden Weapon by G. It's the top technique for using concealed weapons. Quote. The corners of Villette's eyes twitched, and without even looking, he knew that Tang San's sincerity was as dark as his heart. 100 solutions to hidden weapons. Except for the top concealed weapon techniques, such as Guanyin tears, other techniques need to be used in conjunction with hidden weapons. With his understanding of Tang San, it was simply impossible for him to come up with the previous tricks, even if he was confident of winning. Tang San, it seems that your sincerity is nothing more than this. In this case, let's forget about this gambling fight. Navalite said without changing his expression. As soon as he said this, Tang San became anxious instantly, because he saw that Villette was about to take back the top-quality plate crystal. Is there anything bad about this hidden weapon by G? You must know that this was something he came up with after making great determination. Just as Navalette imagined, these papers did not record the top 10 concealed weapon techniques. At this moment, Tang San was a little panicked. Clenched his teeth, Tang San secretly felt cruel. He would never lose in this match, and he could not lose. Thinking of this, Tang San took a deep look at Villette and said, Villette, I bet you 2 self-created soul skills, Purple Demon Eyes and Ghost Shadow Tracer. Chapter 55. Judges and Justice are all mine. Why not make bets with concealed weapons? He will use a hidden weapon to assassinate Villette later, so how could he be exposed in advance? This is one of the reasons why Tang San is so confident. He and Navalette are both soul masters. Even though Navalette's soul power level is higher than him, he has the Tang sect's unique skills and hidden weapon assistance. What does Navalette have? Purple Demonic Eyes and Ghost Shadow Trace, these 2 self-created soul skills are priceless treasures. The Purple Devil Eyes can improve the soul master's vision and insight. The Ghost Shadow Trace is my original step. You have been my referee before, so you should know the kind of step I use, that is the Ghost Shadow Trace. Tang San didn't know at this time that the Purple Demon Eyes could enhance mental power. His Purple Demon Eyes had been stuck in the subtle stage for a long time. After hearing this, the way Villette looked at Tang San changed. This guy actually said shamelessly, is this my original step? Aren't these things the hard work of the ancestors of the Tang sect? When did it become yours? Villette still knows the value of the Purple Demon Eye and the Ghost Shadow. This is destined to be an unequal bet. No matter how good the plate crystal is, even if it is the best plate crystal, it cannot be equal to these 2 Tang sect secret arts. The Ghost Shadow is secondary. This thing has no effect on the truly strong, but the Purple Demon Eye is different. It can help the Soul Master cultivate his mental power. In Douluo Continent, even the method of cultivating soul power is just meditation. There is no complete cultivation method, and there is even less method of cultivating spiritual power. You can only increase your mental power a small amount through meditation, or absorb the head-soul bone, and obtain the all-round increase brought by the soul ring. There is no complete cultivation method. This is true whether it is soul power or mental power. Purple demonic eyes may seem like a technique for cultivating eyesight, but in fact, it improves mental strength. This technique is still very valuable. Of course, it's of little value to Navelet. Self-created soul skills are valuable, let alone two kinds. It's just a plate crystal is a bet, and you will suffer a loss. It doesn't matter, I don't care. Tang San waved his hand and said nonchalantly. Now he just wants to teach Navelet a lesson and take away his plate crystal. How about I do the justice in this spirit fight? Suddenly, Fukalos said with a smile. Justice here means that both parties temporarily place their bets with her. Whoever wins can come to her to claim the victory. This can also prevent one party from refusing to admit the loss. Hearing this, Tang San glanced at Fukalos hesitantly. This girl was with Villette, so Tang San was a little worried when he handed the things to her. Navelet didn't have any objections, mainly because he wasn't afraid that Tang San wouldn't admit it. I'm okay. After Navelet said this, he placed the plate crystal in his hand on the palm of Fukalos's hand. Of course you have no problem. Tang San complained in his heart. This girl is Villette's, one of our own, so what problem can Villette have? After briefly sizing up Fukalos, Tang San thought for a moment, and finally handed the cultivation methods of Ghost Shadow and Purple Demon Eyes to Fukalos. She is just a young girl. No matter how high her soul power can be, how high can she be? Once you take care of Navelet, are you still afraid that she won't admit it? I don't have a problem either. Well, I'll keep it for you first. Fukalos had a peach-like face and said with a smile, since it's a fighting spirit, then I will be your referee. Navelet, Tang San. The two of them had different ideas, but they were also somewhat silent. Justice and judges are all my people. Justice and judges are all his people. Sister Xiaowu, let me be the referee. Xiaowu jumped out and said at this time. Villette didn't care, but when Tang San looked at Xiaowu, he was a little hesitant. In the past, he believed in Xiaowu unconditionally, but now Xiaowu is too poisoned. He is a little afraid that Xiaowu will be the referee, but it will be more unfair than that girl. Thinking of this, Tang San felt a bit toothache. Forget it, after all we have been together for 6 years, I don't believe Xiaowu would really do such a thing. After feeling underestimated in his heart, Tang San said, I agree with Xiaowu being the referee. I don't have any objection either. Navelet nodded and said. Fukalos curled her lips. She, the of justice, acted as the referee, but the other party didn't appreciate it. Of course, she wasn't too disappointed. It was just for fun. With Navelet's strength, does she, as a referee, need help in making false claims? A dragon, a demon, half a human, and a rabbit found a relatively open place as a spirit fighting venue. The two sides faced each other about 30 meters apart. Xiaowu stood on the edge, looked at the two of them, and then said, the fighters on both sides have 1 minute to release their martial spirits. After 1 minute, the competition officially begins. Fighter is the collective name for soul masters who fight souls. The corner of Villette's eye twitched. Xiaowu has never seen a gambling game, right? Only if you are fighting souls, you will have 1 minute to introduce yourself, because the purpose of many fighters is not to fight souls, but to attract the attention of big forces, so as to get investment or win over. This is the helplessness of civilian soul masters. They have no resources, no background, and no connections. They can only use the soul fighting field as a platform to show themselves, so as to get to know the powerful and reach the pinnacle of life. This is also one of the reasons why the fighters in the soul arena talk endlessly. There is no such rule in gambling fights and life and death fights. Basically, the game starts with one sentence. It takes a minute to release a martial spirit. Shaked his head helplessly. Since the referee said so, let's just follow the procedure. Tang San, martial spirit blue silver grass, 30-level control system war spirit lord, please give me your advice. Tang San took the lead in releasing his martial spirit and made a gesture of invitation to Navelet. On Villette's side, an aqua-blue book seemed to appear in front of him out of thin air. Navelite, Wuhun, the grand ceremony of eternal flow, please give me your advice. Quote. Tang San was stunned. Why didn't Villette report his soul power level? Looking at the three aqua blue circles on Villette's body, Tang San fell into deep thought. Of course, Tang San didn't delve into it, and quietly waited for the spirit battle to begin. There is nothing to say about Villette, and we are also waiting for the official start of the spirit fight. With his current strength, not to mention Tang San, even his father Tang Hao is completely fearless. 1 minute flies by. The soul fighting begins. As the referee finished speaking, Tang San moved instantly, his first spirit ring flashing. Let me test you first. The first soul skill. Blue-silver. 56. Give him the illusion that he can almost win. Let me test you first. The first soul skill. Blue-silver coil. Villette's eyes twitched and his shoulders twitched, showing his inner unrest. Closing parenthesis. Try a test. Blue and silver entanglement. Everyone in Villette was numb. He didn't expect that one day he would actually be able to face this blue and silver entanglement. Ha ha ha. The blue-silver grass in Tang San's hand surged wildly, and in about a second, it had arrived in front of Navalette. Navalette shook his head, and with a slight lift of his right hand holding the scepter, a stream of water elements gathered out of thin air, directly splitting the center of the blue-silver grass into two, causing Tang San to lose control of the ends of the blue-silver grass. This scene made Tang San a little dazed. The soul ring on Villette's body did not flash, which meant that he did not use soul skills. So, what was the attack that cut off his blue-silver grass martial spirit? This is just the most basic normal attack. How simple is it to condense water elements and then attack? However, for the people on Douluo Continent, this is no different than listening to the heavenly book. They can directly condense the water element and then attack without releasing soul skills. Let alone seeing it, they have never heard of it now. Just 20,000 years later, the Silver Dragon King disguised himself as an elementalist martial spirit, which gave the world a little shock. She doesn't need to use a soul ring, she can still condense elements and generate attacks. But who is she? She is Douluo's creator god, the clone of the dragon god. Seeing that the first spirit skill had no effect on Villette, Tang San was not angry, and quietly reached out to the 24 bridges behind him on a bright moonlit night with his left hand. The 24 bridges of Bright Moon Night is a storage soul guide in the shape of a belt. On top of it, there are a total of 24 jade stones. Each jade stone has 1 cubic meter of storage space. Since it is a belt, there is also a jade stone behind it, which is also a storage space. Tang San didn't change his expression, he was preparing to give Villette a little shock. Don't you need concealed weapon drawings? Then let Navalette know how powerful his hidden weapon is. Institutions. A sharp look flashed in Tang San's eyes, he didn't believe that Villette could dodge this blow. The third soul skill, Spider Web Cage. Although this third soul skill does not come from the human-faced demon spider in the original work, Tang San still absorbs the soul ring of the spider-type soul beast. The form and name of the third soul skill are not much different. It's just that it's not as powerful as the spider web cage in the original work. First of all, there is no poison from the man-faced demon spider in this spider web. Second, the quality and age of the human-faced demon spider are not comparable to the ordinary spider-like spirit beast that Tang San killed. As well as the externally attached soul bone, the human-faced demon spider exploded the externally attached soul bone, but this one did not. The moment he released the spider web cage, a strange smile appeared on Tang San's face. He didn't expect the spider web cage to really trap Villette, because his real killing move was not this. At this time, Tang San had already taken out a black box with his left hand and pointed it in the direction of Villette. Villette frowned. Good guy, this Tang San is quite smart. Use the third soul skill to interfere with the opponent, and then use the Zug Divine Crossbow to make a real killing move. If it is an ordinary soul master, it will basically fail. But is Villette an ordinary soul master? He is not a soul master at all. Besides, even if Villette is only over 30 levels at this time, it is impossible for him to fall into the trap. His perception is so terrifying, how could he fall into the trap? Water blade. Navalette waved his left hand, and hundreds of dagger-like water blades instantly condensed around him. This sight directly made Tang San, who was about to pull the trigger, look dumbfounded. Question mark quote. Tang San's mind was filled with questions. Why did Villette's spirit ring still not move, so it directly condensed hundreds of water blades? Even a 1,000-year soul ring cannot achieve this level of soul skill, right? Navalette casually mobilized several condensed water blades with his left hand, and swung it at the spider web cage that rushed towards him. Several water blades shot out of the air, and the whistling sound made Tang San feel a little frightened. Shua shua shua. In just an instant, the spider web cage was destroyed by several water blades, and then turned into sections of blue-silver grass and fell to the ground. Tang San. Is he pulling the trigger? Or not to deduct it? Tang San held the Zug divine crossbow with some embarrassment. He never expected that Villette could destroy his strongest soul skill in an instant. What exactly is the opponent's martial spirit and why is it so powerful? Is the powerful one the eternal flowing ceremony? No, the powerful one is Navalette. Looking at the hundreds of water blades still floating around Villette, Tang San thought for a moment, gritted his teeth, and finally made a decision. He cannot lose in this game. Tang sect's secret knowledge must never be passed on to others. You will not lose, and you cannot lose. Villette, you are very strong. If we are just competing with martial souls, I am not your opponent. However, the battle between soul masters is by no means as simple as just martial souls. Let me show you what a hidden weapon is and what my self-created soul skills are. After Tang San said these words, he decisively pulled the trigger, and for a moment, there was no sound in the air. There seems to be only one voice, but in fact, there are 16. Shua shua shua. Because they were sent out at the same time, if you don't listen carefully, you would think it was just one attack. 16 arrows shot through the air, and Villette just waved his hand again, and a few water blades knocked down all the arrows. Tang San knew this would be the case a long time ago, and he didn't stop pulling the trigger. This Zug Shen crossbow can be loaded with a total of 48 arrows, and can fire up to 16 arrows at a time. After using it 3 times, you have to reload the arrows. After Tang San pulled the trigger 3 times in total, he instantly retracted the Zug divine crossbow in his hand, took out different hidden weapons from the storage soul guides on both sides with both hands, and used different techniques to attack Navalite. He didn't believe it. Faced with his violent attack, Villette could resist it. This kind of thing is absolutely impossible. The goddess scatters flowers. Quote. Navalette still responded to Tang San's hidden weapon attack without changing his expression. Tang San has used the 2 unique skills of the Tang sect, the purple demonic eyes and the ghost shadow tracer. This spirit fight must give him some experience, right? To give him an illusion, just a little bit close to the illusion that he can win. Only in this way will he be able to explode more gold coins in the future. It is not Navalette's style to rob directly. His justice does not allow him to do so. But, since it was Tang San who asked for the bet, it's okay. At worst, he might as well use that lovesickness red as a bet next time, since he wouldn't lose anyway. At this moment, Tang San had no idea that he had been tricked. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel Chapter 57. You attacked me again. It's really dangerous. When the crisis dissipated, Villette murmured and wiped away the non-existent cold sweat on his forehead. After hearing this, Fukalos' eyes twitched, he looked sideways slightly, and his eyes changed when he looked at Navalette. What a dangerous situation. Could your expression be a little more serious? Who would believe this? I didn't expect that your strength would reach such a level that you could handle so many of my hidden weapon techniques. Fukalos. Tang San actually believed it. No, Villette has already acted fake enough, and then you still believe it. Fukalos' eyes were full of doubts, and he looked at Tang San as if he was looking at a person with a little bit of wisdom. The kind that has wisdom, but not much. Villette's strength has been recognized by Tang San, this guy is really strong. His hidden weapon was just a little bit closer to hurting Navalette every time, but in the end, it was just a little bit closer every time. I just have a geographical advantage. My martial spirit is a water elemental martial spirit. This place is by the river. Navalette pointed to the small river beside him, trying to find an excuse for why he was so powerful. After hearing this, Tang San suddenly realized. He said what was going on, then Villette waved his hand, and there were hundreds of water blades. This kind of thing would not be easy to do if it was placed on the ring. However, there is a place like the water here. For water attribute soul masters, fighting here has a natural advantage. Damn it, how could I forget this? Tang San felt like he had been fooled. He shouldn't have competed with Navalette by the river. I can't lose. What should I do? What should I do? Tang San was extremely anxious. The hidden weapons he carried had been used up at this time. It would take a lot of time to recover these hidden weapons. Also, he was in the middle of a soul fight, so there was no way to recover them. Using the blue-silver grass martial spirit, he is no match for Villette. He has also used the hidden weapon, and his probability of winning is extremely slim. This time, it was due to geographical reasons and a lack of hidden weapons that he fell into defeat. Tang San was very unwilling, but had no choice but to do so. Could it be that I can only use the second martial spirit? Thinking of this, a trace of determination flashed in Tang San's eyes. His father Tang Hao and teacher Yu Shaogang once told him that he should never expose his second martial spirit unless absolutely necessary. Now, for a spirit battle, is it worth using the second spirit? Just when Tang San was still thinking, suddenly, his vision went dark, and he felt a heavy blow on the back of his head. Before he could think, he fell directly to the ground. The moment he closed his eyes, Tang San's mind went blank except for one sentence. I originally thought Tang San could avoid it, but I don't know what he was thinking about when he was fighting the spirit. Tang San, you're attacking me again. It's good to be young, sleep on the ground. Navalette shook his head. Tang San didn't know what he was thinking. The speed he used just now was not very fast. If Tang San wanted to dodge, there would be no problem at all. As a result, he seemed to be very confused. When Villette walked around him, he didn't even react. Wow, Navalette, you win. Xiaowu was the first to congratulate, jumping up and down to Villette's side without even looking at Tang San who was lying on the ground. Little dancing girl, I just won by luck. Villette said without changing his expression and his heart not beating. It's not a fluke, your strength is more than this. It is said that the authorities are obsessed with the beholder, and if they have been observing the little dance between the two, of course they will find that Villette has been acting. Previously, when he was in the spirit fighting arena, the speed at which Villette erupted was not as slow as it is today. From this alone, Xiaowu could be sure that Villette did not use all his strength. Well, this is your trophy. Fukalos stepped forward at this time and handed the thing in his hand to Navalette. After taking the loot calmly, Navalette put it into his storage soul guide. By the way, who is this girl? Xiaowu blinked and asked subconsciously. She had not thought of this question before. For some reason, she felt that this girl seemed unusual. She had very little human aura, but there was no soul beast aura. It was really weird. Hello, my name is Fukalos, and I am Villette's unmarried wife. Fukalos' face was a little rosy, and she had nothing to be embarrassed about after talking too much. Happily admitted it. What? Xiaowu was stunned, but she didn't feel anything at all, just a little confused. This girl was actually Villette's unmarried wife. That's right, they both look quite unusual and they match each other perfectly. Xiaowu had no feelings of liking for Navalette, but she just felt that she had seen a superior person, of the same kind, and she could not help but feel sympathy for each other. It was a feeling of being a stranger in a foreign land and suddenly seeing fellow countrymen. Hello, Fukalos, my name is Xiao Wu, dancing dance. After saying hello to Xiao Wu, Villette held Fukalos' hand calmly and said, Little Wu girl, we still have some things to do, let's just say goodbye. As for these hidden weapons, we can only deal with them after Tang San wakes up. You have to be careful. Most of these hidden weapons are poisonous. Ah, are you leaving now? Xiaowu said with some disappointment. She still had some questions to ask Navalette and Fukalos, but she didn't expect that the other party was about to leave. I don't know when I will have such an opportunity. Little dancing girl, there is no such thing as a feast that lasts forever. Goodbye. After hearing this, Xiaowu looked at the backs of Villette and Fukalos. Xiaowu didn't react for a while. After a long time, she looked at Tang San lying on the ground, a trace of disgust flashing in her eyes. Are you going to keep him here? There are hidden weapons all around. It would be bad if it hurts others. Tang San needs to deal with these. Oh, there are so many self-created soul skills and so many types of hidden weapons, why don't you teach them to me? Looking at the sleeve arrow on her wrist, Xiaowu took it off calmly and placed it next to Tang San. Tang San always used her unstable character as an excuse for not teaching her hidden weapon techniques and those strange self-created soul skills. Tang San never gave her even slightly more powerful hidden weapons. Only gave her sleeve arrows, something with very ordinary power. What kind of insinuations are Zug Shenu, which one is not more powerful than the sleeve arrow? Does Tang San really hope that she has the strength to protect herself? An unstable personality. He can use it at will in the spirit battle. Chapter 58. Meeting Parents. Just a gambling fight, Tang San could wipe out his family fortune, but because of her unstable character, he refused to give her a powerful hidden weapon. Thinking about it this way, his character is stable. Third brother, I'll call you third brother for the last time. I've returned the Shujian to you. From now on, we, brother and sister, will never have any ties of friendship. Perhaps you don't regard me as your sister at all. If you really regard me as your biological sister, then what you do is terrible. Having a powerful hidden weapon, instead of defending yourself against your younger sister, you give her the least powerful one. Is this really what a brother should do? There are also those self-created soul skills. Can't she learn these things? How valuable is something that can be used as a bet? After another moment of silence, Xiaowu did not leave immediately. Instead, she walked far away and waited quietly for Tang San to wake up. She would leave immediately after Tang San woke up. It can be considered as an end to this fake relationship between brother and sister. On Villette's side, he held Fukalos's hand and walked not toward Soto City, but toward home. Is this, are you going to meet your parents? Fukalos' eyes widened and she was extremely panicked. She was not ready yet. What's wrong with you? Navalette lowered his head, looked sideways, and asked calmly. He felt that Fukalos' heartbeat seemed to be speeding up a lot, and the temperature of his palms was also rising, which was very abnormal. After hearing this, Fukalos lowered his head and whispered, "No, it's nothing. Are you going home?" Fukalos' question made Navalette suddenly realize, was she actually afraid of meeting her parents? Well, Navalette never thought of this before. Villet said softly without changing his expression, "Yes." What, are you panicking? No. I just feel, is this too fast? Fukalos has met Lexius, or in other words, she has seen all the people and things that Villet has seen in her life. It's just that it's normal for her to be a little nervous now and then. Closing parenthesis. Villet couldn't hold it back and laughed out loud. It was really rare for Fukalos to look like this. He went to Lexius today just to hand over the spoils to Lexius and strengthen the younger generation of the clan. Didn't expect this. Why are you laughing? No, I just thought of some happy things. Navalette shook his head repeatedly and said. Institutions. Fukalos snorted. She didn't believe Villette's nonsense. They were going to meet each other sooner or later anyway. She gritted her teeth and said, I'm not afraid, really. Let's go quickly. If you don't adapt, don't force yourself. Navalette shook his head and said solemnly. This kind of thing was the first time in Fukalos's life. It was normal for her to be nervous. How could I, the majestic god of water and the god of justice, have such emotions? You are overthinking it. Fukalos said with a proud face, but he was very panicked in his heart, and his inner activities were very complicated. Oh my god, are you going to meet your parents now? Will Villette's grandfather have any objections to me? What if I have a problem? My god, Fukalos, what are you thinking about? After taking a look at Fukalos' tangled little face, Villette knelt down and before Fukalos could react, he directly hugged the princess and held her in his arms. What do you do? Dear Fukalos, since you are not afraid, let's go faster. The corners of Villette's mouth raised slightly, her eyes were deep, and she lowered her head to look at Fukalos in her arms. Quote. Here, I'm kidding. What did you say? I didn't hear it. Navalette. Time passed, and it was already half an hour later when Naval and Fukalos returned home. At this time, Lexius was in high spirits. He looked dozens of years younger, and his gray hair turned golden. This was because he was affected by the martial spirit. HMPH, if those old guys see me now, their jaws will drop in shock, right? Ha ha ha. There are still a few months until the annual meeting, and I will give them a little shock then. Lexius has just broken through to the level of titled Douluo, and his martial soul has evolved into the Golden Crow. Of course, he has to show off in front of a bunch of old brothers. However, there are only a few months left before the annual meeting and everyone will get together. There is no need for him to run from house to house to tell them that he, Lexius, has made a breakthrough. At this time, Lexius's soul power level has reached level 93. The sub-dragon soul ring and soul bones of more than 95,000 years have allowed him to break through to level 93 after just breaking through to level 90. This shows how powerful this sub-dragon is. That's right, this blazing blue dragon also exploded a soul bone, and it was also the most important torso soul bone among the soul bones. Originally Lexius was not prepared to absorb it, leaving it to Navalet. This is the best sub-dragon soul bone that has been around for more than 95,000 years. Wouldn't it be a waste of time for him to absorb it at his age? However, Navalet refused because he was a water attribute soul master. Lexius, you said that you are a water attribute soul master. How did you release that flame that was more terrifying than the Golden Crow fire? Navalet resisted again and again, but there was no choice. Lexius had no choice but to absorb it himself. Anyway, Navalet was still young. If Lexius didn't have a suitable torso soul bone by the time he waited 100 years. It must have been the greatest opportunity of my life for me to pick up Navalet back then. Just as Lexius was sighing, a smell that he was very familiar with appeared at home, which shocked Lexius. Is his grandson back? Hurry out of the study and walk towards the hall. After arriving at the hall, just as Lexius had guessed, Navalet was indeed back. It's just that there's something wrong with this style of painting, isn't it? Who is this girl? As soon as he arrived in the hall, he saw Navalet and a white-haired girl. At this time, well, he didn't do anything, he just hugged the girl. Grandson, who is this? Lexius asked doubtfully. Among the 8 major families, it is absolutely impossible for this girl to exist, because even the strength of his titled Douluo cannot see through the opponent's strength. After hearing this, Billet put down Fukalos in his arms and said with a smile, Grandpa, this is my unmarried wife. I will bring her to see you today. Question mark. Quote. Lexius's mind was filled with questions. How long had it been since he and Billet came back from that treasured land? He just found a fiancé. Hello, I'm Fukalos. Chapter 59, Meeting Ceremony. Hearing Fukalos's voice, Lexius felt an inexplicable sense of familiarity. He seemed to have heard Fukalos's voice somewhere. Suddenly, Lexius's eyes lit up, and he vaguely remembered that he seemed to have heard the voice of Fukalos when he was in that treasure land. If it wasn't an illusion at the time, the female voice that exclaimed was exactly the same as Fukalos's voice. Since Billet said that his wife, who had never been involved in the matter, was his future granddaughter-in-law, there was no need to talk about this matter openly. Lexius looked at Fukalos briefly. It didn't matter if he didn't look at it. At first glance, he was a little confused. Fukalos' hair color, as well as the color of his clothes, are so similar to Navalet. Standing together with Navalet, they are a match made in heaven. Fukalos, what a name. After Lexius praised him, he quickly said, sit down and talk. This pair of golden boys and girls really made him understand what husband and wife look like, is. He has never seen such a suitable match. Seeing how enthusiastic Lexius was, Fukalos breathed a sigh of relief. It was really embarrassing to meet his parents or something. This is the first time in my life. Navalet smiled and said nothing. After Lexius sat down, he took Fukalos to a chair beside him. The 3 of them sat down, and Fukalos sat next to Navalet, with a smile on his face, but he was very nervous inside, not knowing what to say. Gradually, her face turned a little rosy, and she quietly tugged at the corner of Billet's clothes, as if to say, you are talking. Not betraying Fukalos' trust, Billet interrupted the silence and said, Grandpa, the main purpose of coming back this time is to bring Fukalos to meet you and let her recognize the door. After hearing this, Lexius looked happy and smiled. He was already very proud, and both of his martial souls had breakthroughs. How could he not be happy when his grandson had such a big surprise again? Before Lexius could say anything, Navalet continued, In addition, Fukalos and I have also obtained 2 self-created soul skills, which may be of some use to the soul masters in the clan. After saying this, Navalette took out the papers from the storage soul guide. This is the method of cultivating the purple demon eye and ghost shadow. Villet and Fukalos had already seen these 2 techniques when they came back. Although they didn't understand the techniques, Tang San didn't cheat this time. Gongfa is a real practice. Looking at the self-created soul skill in Villet's hand, and then at the young couple, Lexius felt a little dizzy. Wait a minute, what did Villet just say? Lexius was stunned. In addition to bringing Fukalos back, they also obtained 2 self-created soul skills. Lexius took a breath. You must know that the value of self-created soul skills is much greater than some ordinary 10,000-year soul bones. As long as the soul master's talent is high enough, he can learn self-created soul skills. This is something that can be regarded as inheritance. Although soul bones can also be passed down, how many people in such a large family can receive soul bones? The self-created soul skills are different. As long as the talent is high enough, everyone can even get one. Not only that, some powerful self-created soul skills are not even weaker than the 10,000-year soul skills. The reason why the Haoshan sect is called the #1 sect in the world is that, apart from the fact that the Haoshan hammer is the top martial spirit, the most important thing is the inheritance of the Haoshan sect. Haoshan's 9 skills, Chaos Cloak Hammer Technique, Ring Explosion, Great Sumeru Hammer, etc. All of them are extremely powerful, self-created soul skills. This is also the foundation of Haoshan sect. If Navalette hadn't said this, Lexius would have thought that someone was joking with him. Self-created soul skills are almost always the treasures of big sects and big forces. Who would trade them for free? The self-created soul skills that can be bought are basically very ordinary things, and those with power reaching the level of a 1,000-year soul ring are very rare. After thinking for a while, Lexius said without changing his expression, "My grandson, we will discuss this later. We cannot ignore our grandson's wife just because she created her own soul skills. What kind of storm has he not seen?" Of course, in his heart he really wanted to know what these 2 self-created soul skills were and whether they were powerful. The self-created soul skills will not escape, but if the grandson's wife thinks that she does not value her as the only elder in Navalette, he can't let his guard down at this time. Lexius can still tell the difference between what is light and what is serious. What kind of existence is Fukalos? When she saw Lexius's expression, she understood what he was thinking. Suddenly, Lexius seemed to have thought of something. What Villet said just now was the self-created soul skills he and Fukalos acquired. So, what is in front of him is a meeting gift from Fukalos. Thinking of this, Lexius stood up in a hurry and said to Fukalos, "My granddaughter-in-law, you sit down first, I will have someone prepare some tea and snacks." No need to bother. Before Fukalos could finish what he said, Lexius waved his hand and said, "How can it be considered troublesome? I'll be right back." After Lexius said this, he walked out of the hall directly and asked people to arrange tea and snacks. He himself walked to the warehouse, preparing to pick up 2 meeting gifts. This is my future granddaughter-in-law. If I don't treat her well, what should I do if she runs away? Let Navalette be single for the rest of his life like him. Can you feel at ease now? Grandpa likes you very much. Huh, I'm not worried at all. Fukalos rolled his eyes at Navalette with some arrogance and said. However, the smile on his face could not be stopped. Villet, it's obviously something you got, why do you say we got it together? Fukalos asked in confusion. She did not understand what Villet said before. Navalette smiled and said, "Is there any difference?" "Certainly. Yeah, there doesn't seem to be any difference. Although you are powerful, you are a demon god, and you are also very slippery, but you are still a little lacking in worldliness. What are the ways of the world?" Fukalos was a little confused and blinked. Lost in thought. After a while, Lexius came back with his people, fully equipped with tea and cakes. Moreover, he had 2 more aqua blue bracelets in his hands. Ha ha. Lexius smiled heartily and said, "My granddaughter-in-law, when I was young, I got this in a secret place, in a dangerous place." At that time, what else was written next to these 2 bracelets was 60. Heart of love for God, love for God. These two bracelets are all aqua blue, and both are embellished with a slightly larger aqua blue heart-shaped crystal. Just by looking at the surface, you can tell that this thing is worth a lot of money. These two bracelets are both soul storage devices, but there seems to be some secret between them. When speaking of this, Lexius recalled a little and continued, when I got them, I wrote some ancient characters next to them. Fortunately, I am very knowledgeable. Navalette, Fukalos. The two looked at each other and did not interrupt Lexius's words, but the corners of their eyes could not stop twitching. It says that only lovers who are close to each other can play their original role. I still don't quite understand this. They are just storage soul guides. Is it possible that they can also detect whether two people are in love? You may not believe it, but I have also found many couples, men and women who are passionately in love, and asked them to test this pair of soul guides. However, the final results are the same. They can only store things. By the way, the name of this pair of bracelets is Heart of Love. After saying this, Lexius handed the bracelets in his hands to Fukalos and Navalette respectively. They may not have any secrets, but the meaning is good. The old man is here to wish you success as soon as possible. Lexius said with a smile. The heart of love for God. Navalette and Fukalos murmured in unison after taking the bracelet. Just when the two were about to say thank you to Lexius, something happened suddenly. I saw the hearts of the god of love in the hands of Fukalos and Navalette light up, and two aqua blue rays of light rose into the sky. In the surprised eyes and confused expressions of the three people, two rays of light intertwined together. Question mark. Quote. Lexius' expression is extremely strange. What the asterisk is going on? This love for the God of God was acquired when he was young, in a secret place overseas, and after 9 deaths. However, he found that this thing did not seem to have any function other than storage. Because of this, he specially found many lovers and couples and asked them to wear them to see if they could inspire the secret hidden in the heart of the God of love. The introduction was so horrible, but in the end it was useless except for storage. Lexius is unwilling to give in. After so many people have tried it, there is still no response at all to the God of love. Furthermore, Lexius seems to be under a curse. Even though he is so good, he is like a love antibody. No woman likes him. This is also the reason why Lexius is single till now. Of course, the lovers who have worn this Cupid's heart have not been affected at all, otherwise he would not have used it to trick his grandson. I never expected that the love of God just fell into the hands of this couple, and suddenly made an unprecedented light. Love is stronger than gold, we share life and death together. A disembodied voice sounded in the field, and the heart of love in the hands of Villette and Fukalos changed again, turning pink all over. Not only that, in the next moment, they were automatically put on their left and right wrists. The first test of the God of Love, completed. Get the ability to transmit mutual transmission, regardless of each other or people's ghosts, as long as they are willing, they can be transmitted to the other side, and they can be used once a day. Then let's look for related items for the second test. If you don't want to continue to complete it, there will be no punishment. Of course, this asterisk still expects you to complete it, especially this goddess who is more powerful than this asterisk when he was alive. At this time, there was an unusual silence in the hall. This thing is indeed not simple. It's actually an item inherited from the God of Love. Lexius was a little confused. He didn't hear his voice, so naturally he didn't understand what happened. Fukalos and Navalette looked at each other at this time, and they could clearly sense each other's existence. It seemed that this test of the God of Love was really not a joke. With this ability, as long as two people are in the same world, they can be teleported directly to each other. The only restriction is that they can only be used once a day. As for the God of Love, they are not interested, but this ability is quite useful. Fukalos may be stronger than the Goddess of Love, but she does not have such buggy abilities. Grandpa, do you know the gods? I know a little bit, but I heard that a asterisk is enshrined in the Wuhun Hall. Lexius thought for a while and said truthfully. This bracelet is one of the inherited items of the God of Love. Obtaining it is equivalent to completing an assessment. Of course, this requires a couple to reach the point where their love for each other is stronger than gold and they share life and death. In order to pass this assessment, As soon as Villette said these words, Lexius was stunned. It's not that he feels sorry for this love for God, anyway, this thing is of no use to him. Lexius looked at Navalette and then at Fukalos. Good guy, the two of them shouldn't have known each other for a long time, right? How can he actually complete the tests of love being stronger than gold and sharing life and death? It seems that Fukalos, the granddaughter-in-law, can't run away. As for the inheritance of the god of love, his grandson Navalette has the potential to become a god, which is no joke. What kind of god of love? You can tell at first glance that he is not a powerful god. Is his legacy worthy of his grandson? This question is worth pondering. Then the next inheritance. Lexius thought about it, the god of love is also a god, isn't he? But before he could finish his words, Navalette and Fukalos shook their heads, and Navalette said, his inheritance needs to find the remaining inheritance items. Douluo Continent is so big, how can it be possible? Is it done? This inheritance of the god of love, just pretend that he has never appeared. After hearing this, Lexius suddenly understood and nodded subconsciously. Suddenly, he seemed to have thought of something and looked at the storage bag on Villette's waist. He remembered that in that treasure land, Villette also got a lovesickness red plant. Lovesickness is red, which is said to be related to the god of love. Thinking of this, Lexius hesitated to speak. With his grandson's intelligence, he should have thought of it a long time ago, right? In this case, he did not say much. Navalette. Is it possible that he didn't think of this at all? Besides, he and Fukalos really don't need the inheritance of gods. Grandpa, we are still young and it is not the time to think about these things. You should take a look at these two first. Fukalos on the side poked Villette with his hand and whispered, Navalette, say thank you. Navalette. Thank you for watching. Continue exploring the fascinating world of Chinese novels with us. Hit that subscribe button on Chinese Novel Audiobook to stay updated with our latest stories, and never miss out on a great listen.